By the time it is the
All right, all right, all right. We are live. All right. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Angie. Good morning, Michael. The Luna ticker was denied. Thank you, Donnie. Appreciate it. This call is being recorded this time. I know the one I did, the one the other day, it was not by accident. I was on my laptop in a hotel room, and for some reason, I didn't get my normal notification to pop up to record. So unfortunately, that call did not record. All right. Let me share my screen here. Now, I know a lot of you, hopefully, were in Chad's long signals over the week. They all did exactly what they were intended to do. Nice profitable trades. Of course, I'm still in one of my shorts from on my long-term position. So, going up and down, almost break even to negative, to almost break even to negative, waiting for the drop. But, I could be waiting a while. We could certainly pop up and try to make a new all-time high here. I mean, we are hitting the top of this bullish flag situation. Let me just zoom out a little bit. This is the weekly time frame, and we did have this bottom and then top, which we've had several times. Bottom, top, bottom, top, bottom, top, bottom, top, bottom, top. Now the difference with this one is that as I told you guys before, is that whenever we're in a big bullish flag like this, the time that we break out is usually after we hit the top and came down halfway, not all the way to the bottom. So whenever we hit a top and then come down halfway, there is support and resistance at the halfway mark, always. As you can see, here's resistance, resistance, here's support, resistance, support, support. And then every once in a while it breaks through, hits the bottom. Every once in a while it breaks through, hits the top. Resistance, breaks through, hits the bottom. Resistance, breaks through, hits the top. Bottom, resistance, breaks through, bottom, resistance, breaks through. This time it came down halfway. You see this right here, this wick? It came down halfway and then came back up and broke through. So generally speaking, these breakthroughs happen after we hit the top and didn't come down all the way to the bottom. We hit the halfway mark. So whenever we hit a halfway mark and it starts to come back up, that's when you want to pay attention to a possible breakout to the upside. And let's just look at where we're at right now. So I was on the weekly. It was easy to see on that other chart. Let me go down to the daily. We're in a similar situation where we hit the bottom, we go to the top. We hit the bottom, we go to the top. We hit the bottom, we go to the top. And then this one comes down, but it only comes down to 105. That's not even halfway, but let's just see. If we draw a line to where all the support and resistance levels are in the halfway zone here, we have resistance, support, breakthrough, resistance, bottom, resistance, breakthrough, top, support, breakthrough, bottom, breakthrough, top. We didn't come down to the halfway mark, but we might be breaking through. So it is one of those situations where we hit the top and then we did come down to this zone here. And, there's definitely a lot of support and resistance right along the middle line here. Now, I drew that line diagonally to equal the shape of the flag. But if I just draw a straight line, straight across, right where all this resistance, support, resistance, we did come to that and we went back up. We never held below it. And so, and there is a lot of what Chad would call the boardrooms, these consolidation periods here. There's a couple of them. And that could be what we just came down and hit because they're in a perfect line right here going across. And so, I, of course, I'm a little more bearish than Chad is in this situation, only because we are pushing the top of all-time high levels. And I'm not just looking at the chart and saying, oh, well, this is a pattern. This is a bullish bull flag and it should break out just because bull flags break out. But because we are hitting a top resistance line going back quite a ways. Just zoom out here and see if I can get the whole picture. We're hitting a top resistance line. We're also hitting an all-time high after a breakout for the third time. So we had an all-time high here at 73.4, breaking the previous all-time high by a couple $1,000s. And back in November or March rather, and then we went into a bull flag for 280 days and we broke out and we came up and hit resistance right here. And then we popped through. This was a new all-time high right here, 76K. And then we went up to here, 81K. Then we went up to here. Every one of these was an all-time high. And then we came up to 108, and this was the first time we pulled back from this upward trending channel. So first time we broke to the downside of that. And then we came down all the way to 89 and we tried again. Boom, we hit 109, which was a little higher than the 108, went up $1,000. And that's when we fell into this falling wedge, which we were shorting all the way down. And it came down and retested previous resistance as support, this line right here. Bounced out, broke out, great run up, came all the way back up and hit previous all-time highs right here. Boom, 106, 107, hit it right here, 107, 108, and then right here, 109, and then popped up to 112. Came down, retested, lower high, came down, retested, lower high at 110, came down to 98, came all the way back up, and right now it's retesting again at 109. So are these going to continue to be lower highs, or are we going to finally make a higher high? This candle that we're in right now would need to get above the 110.6 and hold as support. So let me just put a line there. Let me thicken it up a little bit so you can see it. Let me change the color so you can see it. That's not good enough. Got too many lines going on. So it really needs to get above the 109 and hold as support. And it's kind of above it right now, but is it going to hold? And so now let's go down. I am on the daily. Let's look at the weekly. We have on the weekly. I mean, it's pushing, man. It's pushing, but what is it pushing? It's pushing that 109. Yeah, where's the liquidity at? Let's go look. Just slice through all this liquidity right up to 108.8. It might go to, it's at 109.2 right now. We might get a 109.5. Ooh, that's a tough one right there. Definitely don't want to get liquidated here. I'm gonna short that's a little stressful at the moment. USDT. I should have went long at the same time. But so if we let me go down to a lower time frame and see if I can adjust these to make sure that we're actually right on that line the proper way. That's it right there. We are wicked above it. This red line right here is the 109. I'm sorry, that's 110. And it's close to it. I mean, we're at 109.6 right now. Oh man, it's trying to take me out. It's trying to take me out.
Coming back down on tether.
Say again.
On Tether, it's coming back down on the 1 minute.
Oh yeah, it was really reaching. It was really reaching me on. Let me see what I got over here.
It just broke out of the Fibonacci channel and it's coming back down to test it and the 21.
Convert. Trying to move money around here. All right. Yeah, it's really reaching. It's really trying to get there. But yeah, I see a little red. See a little bit of red trying to come down. See margin. Try to get my liquidation a little higher here. It's the risk you take, guys, when you're trying to hold a short for a long period of time. You got to give it enough room to oscillate. Give it enough room to go up and down, up and down. Let's see. Oh, yeah, let's slice through all of that. Let's go to this model. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the liquidation map over here. Interesting. Interesting. But if this falls, let's go down to a lower time frame. If it falls, it was if you were in one of those longs, it would have been nice. It would have been good for you to take profit. Could it keep running? Yes. If it holds above this 109 level, like if it comes down and retests this, which it probably will, that was where we had not only major resistance on the way up here, but there's a downward trending resistance and there's a straight line horizontal resistance right at the same juncture. I'll show you here. Yeah, it's loading properly today. So we have this white line right here, which is the previous high back here of 108, 109 levels right here. And I got it at 108.9. But as you can see, we went above it and didn't hold above it. We went above it and didn't hold above it. We went above it and didn't hold above it. We hit it as resistance, resistance, resistance. We're going above it. So if we fall back down below it, then it's going to be similar to these situations here. But the only way it will be different and we will continue is up if it holds above this white line, which I would say is the 108,800 or above. Maybe just you can round that out to 109. But even here where it hit resistance and went above, it looked like a candlestick held above here, but it didn't make a higher high and it just fell back below. Here it popped up, fell, one candle opened above and then the next one fell back below. So this white line right here, you can put it at 109 or 108.9. Let's just say 108,900. If you want to have that horizontal line right there, it really needs to hold above that. Otherwise, it's just more of this. And if this falls back below, it could come down and retest the center line and then try again, or it could just fall all the way to the bottom. And the reason why I still think that can happen, guys. It's not because I'm bearish or because I think the bull market's over. I think a lot of people just misinterpret what I'm saying. It's because there's a lot of fugazi going on in the world. There's a lot of crazy shit going on. Trump taking credit for, everything's great. The stock market's all-time high. The economy is the best it's ever been. Like he will negotiate a deal with Israel or Iran, and the very next day, everything is great. We're the best country in the world. The stock market's at all-time high. Eggs are the lowest. And he's talking about stuff that normally takes months to play out. Nothing wrong with him being positive and confident, but the economy is not great. The economy, job market, the jobs are not good right now. So there's a lot of shit that has to happen first. And what he's doing is going to be good in the long term, but in the short term, it creates a lot of chaos. And not to mention the billions and billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin being bought over the last couple months and the price not making a new all-time high. So you got to understand, guys, there's a limited supply of Bitcoin. There's only so much Bitcoin. 21 million that will ever exist, 19.5 million already minted. And the remaining amount of Bitcoin by the year 2034, 99% of all Bitcoin will have been mined, and the remaining 1% will take 100 more years. But the price is not going through the roof. Then you got XRP, you got all the banks partnering with Ripple. You hear it all over the news. You see it all over the crypto sphere. Banks are working with Ripple and all of this positive stuff, and the prices aren't correlating. It's like, what is going on? So there's either manipulation, which we know there is, and there's just something else going on that we can't see. Okay, so when that happens, when the whole world is positive and bullish, but yet the prices aren't doing anything, and you might think this is doing something. You might think this little pump right here is doing something, but that's nothing. I'm talking about pump up to 160, 170, like overnight. That's a bullish, huge pump to the upside, which can happen. Obviously, if we break this all-time high at 112, we could do that. But why hasn't it done that is the question. And so, I mean, even when we get up to this level, this right here, we hit the 112, that is an all-time high. But here's what I look at down here. We got the stochastic RSI, the blue line crossed the orange line to the downside on the weekly. We are now below the 80, and it was facing down. Now it's kinked up a little bit here. Just the so sorry, the weekly is not reloading here. Hold on one sec. Keeps putting me on the daily. All right, so that's the weekly. So we got both lines below the 80 on the weekly, and the blue line is curving back up because of this bullish pump from the bottom of this flag to the top. Okay, that's all bullish. That's good. And then we got the regular RSI down here, which is still bearish divergence. So we had a high here at 73. We had a high here at 108, and then we had a high here at 112. 3 highs on the price, 3 new all-time highs from here to here to here, and yet 3 lower highs on the RSI. We did come down and bounce on the 200-day moving average, and we pumped back up, but we're still not even above this high, which is the 112, let alone this high, which is what it needs to get above on the RSI in order for us to think that we're going to have a bullish, bull run, more upside, in my opinion. And I'm gonna say my opinion, but it's my interpretation of all the charts and the indications. This, and this is technically a first, because the last time we had bearish divergence was here in 2021, and we only had 2 touch points with one high here. Actually, it was here. We had a high here at 41,000, and then we had a second touch point here at 68K. 41,000, 68K, high, lower high. And then we come down and we make another run for it, and we hit it right here at 48, which was a lower high down here, and that was the beginning of the end of the bull market. So this time is different because we actually had 3 touch points and 3 higher highs. With this one, we only had two higher highs. But still, nonetheless, it's still bearish divergence. But does that mean that this time something unique is happening? This time, this still might end. Maybe there is only two touch points, and this third one is going to just shoot up here and get above this, and then finally, where the bearish divergence is no longer bearish divergence, because that's what would have to happen in order for this to not be bearish divergence, and it would have to literally get above this point here on the RSI, not the price. The price is already higher here at 112. It just this didn't get higher. So some strange things going on. Definitely some market manipulation, I'm sure. And with all that being said, it's really hard to when it's this close to the top and this is all happening, then the next thing you do is you have to wait for a breakout. Now, the signal Chad gave yesterday or the day before when he was saying that back let me just go over to it. When he was showing his this is in his trade signal channel right here. And he was calling for a possible pullback up here. Let's see, where was it? Yeah, and he's had a couple posts since then, right here. Yeah, so he was expecting this pullback, and it did pull back, and it did pump up. Now we're right about here right now. Actually, where are we? What chart? I can't tell what time frame this is that he's on this, so it's hard for me to.
We're 109 400.
Oh yeah, here it is. I'm sorry, that wasn't the right. That it already had done what we were talking about. But here's what he was talking about. We were hitting the top of this downward trending resistance, and he was expecting a pullback down to here, which was the 200-day moving average. This is on the 4-hour chart. It came down below the 200-day moving average and kind of held under it for a minute, but it was right because it came directly in line with these consolidation zones and bounced. And all it's done so far is come down to here and bounce back up to right about here. So it's doing exactly what he said. The question is, and he did, by the way, he did TP all of his trades. That means he took the profit. He got out. That's the smart thing to do when you're that high in profit. Could it keep going? Yes. But you don't resent, you don't, regret taking profit when you take a lot of profit because, only in hindsight would you know if that was too soon. But what most of us do, what most people do is they won't take the profit because they're greedy, and then it does go up a little higher, and then they get greedy and they double down, they increase their leverage and all that shit, and then it plummets. And then they're like, shit, I should have taken a profit when I was up here. So don't be greedy, take the profit and get out, and then wait for the next trade setup. What's the next trade setup? It needs to hold the support above these levels right here, this straight line. So let's go back. Basically, it is this straight line right here. It needs to hold above. Otherwise, you see what it did here when it broke out of this bull flag. It went up and hit it. See how it hit it right here? And then it came down quite a bit. It went from 73.8 and came all the way back down to 68K before the next candle opened, and then it shot through. So right now it's hitting that resistance. It could come down a little bit. Who knows how far, but it could come down to 105, 106 again. And then boom, the next candle blow through the top. Or it's just finding too much resistance there. Those are the only two choices, really. It's either gonna hit it resistance or hold it as support and get above it. So should we be on short for beat market top or wait? That's a good question, Angie. It's because of what I've been saying, it's hard to determine whether this is the time that we're breaking out. We are kind of breaking to the top of this little bullish flag here. So is that the time to go short? I personally do things like that because, I like to do the opposite of what the masses are doing. And that has done well for me many times in the past, but sometimes you get caught. Sometimes you're like, it's just not ready yet. It's just not ready yet. I'm premature. Okay. I think that the market is way overbought. I think that the market is way overhyped. I think that there's too much bullishness going on. And I understand why there is. It's because the market's still holding way up high here. The price is still way up high. The stock market is now climbing back up. The S&P climbed back up to all-time high. It went back above the 6,200, which is a new all-time high, a little bit higher than it was a couple months ago. And everybody's like, oh, yeah, everything's back. Everything's good. But is it? Is it good? Is it really? Is it just like all just like smoke and mirrors? And so I wonder about things like that. And the reason why is because job market's not good. Inflation is high. Prices haven't come down. Interest rates haven't been dropped. There's a lot of things going on. Even Powell was worried in his last announcement, if you remember correctly. And Trump doesn't like him talking like that. So Trump would rather just get rid of him. Trump wants everything to just be positive. Just speak nothing but good news instead of the truth. Nothing wrong with Trump either. Trump is doing what needs to be done, but that's not something that has an immediate a correction. It may. I mean, if you're a guy, you ever get in a fight with your girlfriend or your wife and apologize and you're immediately back to normal? No, you can apologize, but it takes weeks sometimes and then whatever you argue about is going to come up 3 more times before you finally get back to normal. I mean, that might have been a bad example, but the point is when the shit hits the fan, it doesn't immediately go away, even if you clean the fan. Sometimes that odor sticks around for a while. And I mean, it was just last week we were bombing Iran, guys. And it was just the week before that Israel was bombing Iran. And then after there was a ceasefire and after Trump announced that everything's great in the world, Iran sends missiles to more U.S. base targets in the Middle East. Does that sound like they're done yet? Does that sound like they're over yet? This whole thing is over yet? Now they're talking about targets in the U.S. where they have little cells, of people that they're calling on them to create chaos in the U.S. Do you think this is over? I don't think so. But now I'm not a pessimist, guys. I'm an optimist. I am looking on the bright side. I see that things can be really good here. But I am also not stupid. I also can read between the lines. I also know that when everyone is running towards the cliff, I like to stand by and see what's going to happen first. I'm not going to fucking just run towards the cliff. Excuse my language. But that's what seems to be happening. Everybody is like, oh, this is it. We're going to the moon now. And I'm a little more cautious when it comes to that stuff. So let me look at, not to mention historically, and I know that even Chad said that he doesn't subscribe to this 6-month candle on the 6-month chart, rather the fourth candle on the 6-month chart. And you don't have to subscribe to it. You don't have to think that this plays any role in anything. But the reason why I keep talking about it and bring it up is because historically, guys, every bull market top was the top when the 4th candle printed on the 6-month time frame. Every one, which was this one, just printed on the 1st, which was yesterday. This candle just started, the 5th candle, and this candle has 5 months and 30 days left. But this candle, the 4th candle on the 6-month chart, historically has always been the top of the market. Now, could this time be different? Could we blow past it? Yes. And I've said that 100 times. Every time I've talked about this, I say that this 5th candle could get higher. It did do it only once in history, which was in 2021, right here. And look how much higher it got. Let's just get rid of all these lines so you can see it. Here was the 4th candle. Wicked all the way up to 64.8, 64.5, came all the way back down to 46, and then boom, 5th candle opened, and this 5th candle went all the way back up to 64.5, and then wicked above it to 68, and that was it, came back down. So that would be equivalent, if that were to happen again, that would be equivalent to this candle right here, wicking up to 115, and then coming back down, and that would be it. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just saying that that's what would be equivalent. That was the only time that the 5th candle got higher than the 4th. And the only reason I'm bringing this up right now is because that candle just printed. This is something I've been talking about for months. And now that's done, this candle. So it's not going to get any higher than 112. This candle's over with. It's printed. 112 was the high of this candle. Now, will this candle blow by it and this will be the end of this trend? Because if you go back to the beginning of Bitcoin, the fourth candle always higher, the highest, always in every bull market. So what does that mean? Does that mean that we should just hang our hat and this is over? No, this time could be different. But let's just also look at some other facts. From the bear market bottom here in 2015, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 green candles in a row. That was the most ever in a bull market, except for now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now we're on the sixth candle. The sixth candle, guys, from the bear market bottom. Remember, I always say it's the fourth candle after the first engulfing candle. But this one had, from the bear market bottom, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 green candles. The sixth candle, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We are in, hold on a second. We are in the sixth candle right now. And right now it's green. But the sixth candle historically has never, ever, ever, ever been green. Never ended green. So all that means is that if history repeats itself, this candle, the one that we're in right now, the one that just started on the first, will start to come down. Now, on the other hand, if this time is actually different and we're going to break the mold and things aren't going to do what they've always done, then yeah, we could blow up to 160,000, and I'll never be able to talk about this 6 month candle again because it won't matter anymore because so far it's always done this, but this time could be different. Let's look at also this. I want to bring this up and show you guys because this is important. Also, is this right? Ah, shoot. Might be on my other computer. Let me just grab this image I wanted to share with you. Hold on.
Nah, 6 ball. Nico's looking for a picture.
Give me 1 second here, guys, because this is these are things that you gotta, when you're doing technical analysis, you really gotta look at all of this stuff and come to a conclusion here. All right, so we got this right here. Everybody can see that okay?
Yes, sir.
This is this is 2017. This is the 2013 one down here. I didn't get the full image, but I wanted to show you because this yellow line up here is the top of the 2.36 on the Fibonacci. 2.36, 2.36. Every bull market so far has gotten to the top of the 2.36. 2.36. The one before that is the 1.6. So there's different levels. This is phase 1, 2, or phase 1 down here, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, phase 5. So in this bull market, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Phase 3 was when we came up and hit 73K, where we we're basically bouncing or coming up against the previous all-time high. And we broke through it into phase 4. And then in phase 4, we went up and hit 108, 109, came back down to 74, broke back out. And now when we came up to 112, here we are right in the middle of phase 4. Something to note is that every bull market cycle prior, we hit the top of phase 4, which is the 1.6 on the Fibonacci. Even the last one, 1.6 on the Fibonacci. If we hit the 1.6 on the Fibonacci, that will be $176,000 for Bitcoin. And we've done that every time we've hit the 1.6. And also every time we hit the 2.36, except for 2021. In 2021, we only went up to the 1.6 and then double topped, and that was the beginning of the bear market. But every other one, we went through the 1.6, we hit the 1.6, went through it, and went all the way up to the 2.36. If we do that here, that would bring us up to $541,000 for Bitcoin. But why is this time possibly different? Well, we had an anomaly back here. There could be reasons. We had COVID. We also had the FTX scandal. We had a couple of reasons why this bull market back here was different. We had a lot of problems, right? And COVID was huge, right? People just stopped caring about everything because, their whole lives got turned upside down. So here we did break through into phase 4, but we're struggling to get above a certain level. We made a new all-time high. We made another new all-time high. And we made another new all-time high, but they were all a little bit higher than the previous all-time highs. Here, same thing though. We came up to 164.5. We came down 30 grand, come back up, 50%, came back up and hit 68. Just went above it a little bit, and that was it. That was the beginning of the end. So I'm not saying this is the end. I'm just saying we are in the middle of phase 4. And if we get to the top, which we have every other time, that would put us at 176. So that's very bullish. That would be great. But in order for that to happen, we need to break out of. Let's go back to. We need to break above the 112 and hold. And if we do break above the 112 and hold, here's the thing, guys. That's what needs to happen in order for us to have that big bull run. But if we do break above 112 and hold, that will be the first time in history that the fifth candle's ever done that on the 6-month time frame. So this is where the conflict comes in. This is where the the little conflict comes in, right? I'm hoping that happens, but so far I have to bet on what's always happened. I don't have to. I could think differently. I could say, oh, well, this time is different, but I don't do that. That's like, I like to see first before I'm convinced that will happen. I like to see us break above 112. And in the meantime, I personally bet that it's going to go down, but I'm also negative, waiting for that to happen. And that's a big bet. That's a big risk that I'm taking. And I don't tell you guys to do that. I didn't put a short signal in recently and say, hold it and just don't have a stop loss. Never should you do that. Unless, in my case, I have several sub accounts and I'm doing it in an account that I am willing to friggin' lose. And because if I win and I'm right, then I will make a ton of money. But if I'm wrong, I will lose, and it will sting, it will hurt, but I won't be homeless, So you got to be able to do the risk capital. It's got to be money that you can afford to gamble with or lose. NG, I actually am already in that trade, my year-long short, but I did not give a signal for because I wasn't sure yet if we're near the top. Because even if Bitcoin pumps up to 112, like it did in the previous cycles, where it does go up close to the previous all-time high before it goes down, and we're close right now. I mean, how much closer can you get? We're at like 110. That's only $2,000 short of the all-time high, right? So, but I'm hesitant to say that. I'm very hesitant to say that the bull market's over because we technically have 6 months left of a normal bull market. But if you look at this candle here back in the last bull market, this candle here back in the last bull market, or this one here, this was the fifth candle. It went up a little higher, but that still was the beginning of the end. But look, it went up higher than this one. Oh, by a couple $1,000s, but it took 6 more months for us to start to come down. This one is the sixth. This is the I'm sorry, this is the fourth candle. Here's the fifth one, the one that we're in right now. We're up here, but this is the previous bull market. Actually, this is 2 bull markets ago, back in 2017. The fifth candle prints, and it takes 6 months for this candle to be done and print, and then the next candle starts, and then we went down further. Same here. 6 months, then 6 months. That's a whole year, these 2 candles right there. So nothing that I'm talking about is going to happen overnight. All I'm saying is that historically, the fifth candle doesn't get higher than the fourth, and we are now in the fifth, and we have 5 months left of the fifth candle. This candle can go up and down for the next 5 months. We're going to have lots of intraday trades, lots of swing trades, lots of longs and shorts during that time. But will it ever get above 112 again is the question. And it's so close to it right now. It's so close. So, I mean, if you did short right now, you would be really shorting the top if this is the top. But if it's not the top, you're taking a big gamble. So in order for me to be confident that you should short and that this is the top and we are going into a bear market, I would say that this candle needs to turn red and we need to come down probably back into the 90s. And even then, guys, even then, is it possible for that to happen? It's possible for us to go all the way down to probably 70K. It's possible for us to come all the way down to 74, 75 right here again and still have a big run back up to 112 sometime in the next 6 months. Still possible for all that to happen because this is a 6-month candle. So this thing can go up and down, just like these did. This candle here, this candle went all the way up to 17, came all the way down to 5,700 and went back up to 6,500 before the next candle printed. This candle, this is the one that just printed right here. This one went all the way up to 64, came all the way down to 34, and then the next candle opened and went down further to 28, and then went all the way up to 68, and then came all the way back down to 46 before the next candle printed. The point I'm trying to make, guys, and I think hopefully you understand, is that this candle, this is the only time in Bitcoin's history that this candle, the fifth candle, the one we're in right now, got higher than the fourth. Now, could it happen? Yes. Of course, obviously it has happened once before. But also, here's the weird thing. This is also the only time that we had bearish divergence on the weekly. So if history repeats itself, here's the thing. You see this first peak right here, and then the second peak right here, where we had 41K and then 68K. I mean, 68K. That was in the last bull market. 41K and 68K. Looks like a big M. That's kind of already happened. Here's the top here where we hit 73.4, and then this second one here is when we hit 108. Now we have a third one where we hit 112. So we've had it would be the same as if this one pumped up and went up a little bit higher to 110. But the only difference is we have 3 touch points here where the price got higher 3 times, but on the RSI the high was lower all 3 times. So still bearish divergence. So let's look at some other things. We have a rising wedge type situation where we have, let me get rid of some of these things. Where we have a upward trending support. Right here, going all the way back to 15,000. And we have a top. And depending on where you want to put that line, I can put it here. And the reason why I can put it there is because even though it's going through this right here, touching the top, the 112 here is because none of this held above. This all just wicked above and fell back below, retest, retest, wicked above, fell back below, retest, retest. So there is a line there, and we also hit resistance here. Now, could this pump above it like it did here and then come back below? Yeah, it could. But if I do one just to here, just from this to there, it's still, and I bring it over to here, it's still a rising wedge. Now it starts to get a little convoluted here and get rid of some of these other lines. So anyway, this is kind of what I do, even when you're not flies on the wall, even when you're not watching me, this is what I'm doing. I'm looking at every possible angle, every possible thing first before I even, try to decide what I think is going to happen or try to give anybody any kind of signal. And, once we get to this zone, guys, it's more difficult. It's more difficult to predict because we are at the top. We are at the top and we're banging our head on the ceiling. We broke through the ceiling and now we're banging our head on the attic ceiling. Now, generally speaking, the more you bang your head on something, the more likely you're about to go through, right? But we also have these touch points down here on the bottom, and it is also possible to come back and retest the bottom of this first. Boom, down here in the 90s, and then come back up, and then pop through to a new all-time high, and then finally go into a bear market. That's all possible. Everything is possible. So when I try to look at what's probable, that's when I take into account all this other stuff that I have to look at to determine whether history is going to fake everyone out again. Everybody thinks we're about to blow to the top, and all of a sudden we dump, or these big multi-billion-dollar sellers are wrong. Because if you don't think people are taking profit right now, then you don't understand. So yeah, so we got huge multi-billion-dollar, $100 million sellers happening, because that's the only reason that Bitcoin's not at 250, 300K right now. Because Michael Saylor's buys alone and some of these other multi-billion-dollar purchases that you see jumping on Michael Saylor's bandwagon, big companies vowing to purchase a certain amount, even the US government promising to buy $100 billion worth of Bitcoin over the next 5 years. That is 1 million Bitcoin at $100,000 pop. And the price still not going higher. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's gone higher. I mean, we were at 15.5, obviously, at the beginning of the bull market. Obviously, we've climbed up, but not going higher, much higher, like in the 200,000 range. And I would think that would happen. So the only way for me, like if you keep pouring water in the top of a glass and it just never overflows, what is that telling you? It's telling you there's a leak somewhere. There's water coming out the bottom. And if you pour water on the top and it's never getting full, it's because there's just as much coming out the bottom. Now, who is the person selling? Who is the entity selling that much Bitcoin? Is the question. Is that even a fact, what I just said? I can only speculate, but I know one thing. If there's only 10 Picassos in the world and the art studio has 9 of them, that means one's missing. That means an investor or some rich dude has it on his wall, or woman has it on his wall somewhere, right? You cannot sell 10 Picassos if there's only 9. And if you sold all 9, or if you bought, you can't buy 10 more Picassos because there's only 1 left. You have to find that person who has that last Picasso. And if you buy that Picasso and the price doesn't go up, now that they're all being held by one person, no one else can buy any more Picassos because there's no more Picassos to buy. And that's kind of what you have here with Bitcoin. We have a limited supply, a finite supply of something that we have multi-billion-dollar purchases continuing to happen every month, and the price isn't moving. So that's like a glass of water with a hole in the bottom of it. Somebody is selling equal amounts somewhere. I mean, who knows? Maybe Michael Saylor's doing it. Maybe he's buying it with investor money and selling it out the back door into his own pocket. I don't know. Maybe it's Satoshi Nakamoto himself, because not many people have that much Bitcoin. So, I mean, any comments on anything I said? Anybody disagree? Anybody have any other explanations? And Chad, Chad might be on. He might have an explanation. There's all kinds of different opinions on this, guys. I'm just giving you mine right now, and I'm skeptical. I'm starting to get skeptical. I am bullish on Bitcoin. I am a Bitcoin maximist. I do want to have a lot of it, but I think that there is manipulation happening because the powers that be that want to control it and the powers that be that want to think about this, all the banks that are setting up all the regulation and putting all of this infrastructure in place for the sole purpose of getting to the point where XRP might be the main financial network distribution token and Bitcoin will be the store of wealth for all these countries and all these giant multinational corporations. Do you think they want to buy in at $200,000 per Bitcoin? Now that everybody's on board? No, they probably would want to dump it first, make you think it's over, and buy it all back up at a lower price. That's just my opinion. I don't know why my camera is not facing me. So
Someone was dumping large amounts of Bitcoin. Wouldn't you be able to see that on the ledger?
yeah,
Like Satoshi Nakamoto, his Bitcoin hasn't moved since what, 2009?
yeah.
Whoever owns that, it's
I mean,
not
you
those
see
guys.
billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin being transferred all over the place. We don't really know whose wallets they are, but whether they're selling or not is a different story. And also, how much is on the blockchain and how much is in cold storage that's not even accounted for. So you could sell $1 billion worth of Bitcoin and it not change the price of Bitcoin. You can buy $1 billion worth of Bitcoin and not change the price of Bitcoin, depending on who you're buying it from. If you're buying it right on from Coinbase, it's on the open market, then that's going to change the price. But if you're buying it from, if you're taking it from your left pocket and putting it into your right pocket, it's already baked into the price of Bitcoin. That's what happened with BlackRock. When BlackRock and Grayscale were selling billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin to the 13 other hedge funds that were creating Bitcoin ETFs, they were buying billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin and the price wasn't moving at all. We're like, what the hell's going on? Why didn't we shoot above 68K? Why didn't we shoot above, the 100K right away back then, back in March of last year? Because they were buying it from Grayscale, and Grayscale already had the Bitcoin because they already bought it on the open market over the last few years, and they were just hoarding it and sitting on it. So they were selling it to the hedge funds, and it wasn't changing the price because it was already baked in to the current value of Bitcoin. So anyway, I don't know what the answer is to all of the little complexities that I just talked about. All I know is that something ain't right. Or maybe it is. Maybe this is all good and everything's perfect in the world, but something doesn't feel right to me. And I know some big players, guys. I know some big players who are shorting the hell out of the stock market right now. They think it's about to dump. And I'm talking about big money people that are usually right. And they laugh at people that count on AI and say, "Oh, I asked AI, is this the top of the bull market?" And it said no. They laugh at that shit. They beat AI almost every time because AI is just public sentiment. It's taking all the information that it can get online, and if all the information is coming from clueless people, then AI is going to give you clueless information. How could AI know anything that's not already put out there? So what it's doing,
it's only as good as the programmer.
That's right. It's scouring the information that's out there on the web and then giving you the most popular common thread.
Yeah, the guy that did Chat GPT, somebody asked him the other day if they should trust it, and he just laughed and said, "There's no way you should trust it."
Yeah.
Trust but verify. I think that was Reagan.
Bill, what are
do you
your
think of the
thoughts?
sentiment what do you think of the sentiment in the retail market? It seems to me like a lot of people are kind of crypto at the moment and have focused on other things or have got scared out of it.
No, I mean, I don't, it's the retail market, I don't think is gonna cause any change in the price. It has to be these big players. I mean, it can, don't get me wrong, but that's not what moves the market in big ways. So what happens is there's multi-billion-dollar purchases, and then the retail market piles on because they have greed, right? So we all say, "Oh shit, did you just hear what Donald Trump did? Did you just hear what so and so did? Did Michael Saylor just bought? Oh man, it's going to pump up," and then they jump in. So they're like the little minnows riding on the whale, right? They're trying to get the crumbs. But what moves the market are the big, multinational and giant corporate purchases, or people like Michael Saylor, who's just buying $1 billion every month. But I don't know if you guys have noticed, but when Michael Saylor buys $1 billion worth, it pumps up a little bit and drops back down. You ever notice that?
A lot of that could just be the Sailor followers jumping in on the bandwagon. Maybe enough retail are, could get in on his moves. And he shouldn't even be buying publicly like that. That should all still be handled on the back end. Like we shouldn't know about large purchases like that. Doesn't make sense to me. It feels like retail pump and dump is what it feels like every time.
Yeah. Well, just like when Trump announced, invest in the stock market's getting ready to shoot up. That's like telling everybody what's about to happen is like insider trading almost. I'm surprised he didn't get in trouble for that, but it's kind of weird. But then you got people like Nancy Pelosi and others that are, worth $200 million from having inside information. They're trying to fight for that to stay the same, like it's okay. But guys, this is a strange time. That's all. But we are in my opinion, historically, this is the last 6 months of the bull market. That candle that printed on the 6-month time frame was the beginning of the last 6 months. It was also the end of the first of the last 6 months, but it's the beginning of the last 6 months. And just when I look at that, I'm looking at the bearish divergence on the weekly. I'm looking at that candle printing, and then us being at 112 was the high during that candle. And I go and look at all the other times this has happened, and historically it just hasn't been higher than that. And this is a high. Don't get me wrong, 112 was an all-time high, and that was the most recent all-time high. We just broke 109 or 108, which was January, when we fell out. When we broke out of this falling wedge and we pumped out, and we did get higher here, but just barely. Why is that? That's strange to me. Just barely. Back here we did this. We hit 64.5. We come all the way down and we pump out, and we get right up to, boom, we break above it to 66.8. We come all the way back down to 57, and then we pump again up to 68, and then come back down, and that was the beginning of the end. But several times, I mean, it keeps trying and getting a little higher each time. So if we go, so I think we're right there, guys. I think we're close. I mean, I don't think the bear market's over yet. But I mean, the bull market, I don't think it's over yet, but we're in that last phase. We are in the last phase. It's just a matter of whether we're in the beginning of it, we're in the beginning of the last phase, and we still have a lot of upward trend possibilities to go. Could this pump up to, 114, 115, 116 and hit this line up here? Yeah, we could, and if I were to guess, guys, if I were to give a prediction, I would say that the all-time high will end up being here at 116.8. But will it be this first? And then this? Or will it just be right here? Boom, boom. And then that's it. So we can't know the exact top, but we can know that throughout history that once that 6-month candle prints, once that fourth candle prints on the 6-month time frame, that is historically been the high. Now, if we go to the 12-month, we do have obviously the rest of the year. We have 5 months left, 5 months and 30 days. But this is the 12-month here. This is the 12-month here. This is the 12-month here. And all of these peaks of the 12-month was never higher than the peak on the 6-month, is what I'm saying. General question: are patterns like M, W, flags, etc., valid for all time frames? I know some indicators are not dependable for all time frames, but what about patterns? Good question, Paul. And Bill, I think Bill answered it. But the higher the time frame, the more accurate. So yes, if you're scalping on the 1 minute time frame or the 5 minute time frame and you see a W or an M, it could still pan out. The pattern could still work, but it would be in a very short time frame. And technically speaking, if you're on that low of a time frame, like we go to the 1 minute here, let's just go look at some of them. We could be having a little bullish flag happening right now on the 1 minute. We got a breakout imminent. But is it going to break to the upside? That is a different story. Doesn't feel like there's much liquidity above us here. Probably needs to come back down to the 105. Yeah, I wouldn't put much weight on the patterns on the 1 minute on the really low time frames. 10 minutes is a good time frame to scalp on. John, I thought it was you cashing in. That's what's causing the price to not go up.
Nico, I got a theory on the price movement.
Yes, please.
So if you're the most powerful man in the world and your kids convince you crypto's where it's at, you're going to go to the banker buddies. And at that point, Trump's already got the best connections and they sit down and realize, okay, let's do this. But they got to get the ETFs through. And right now there's like 70 of them that are pending. I think they're just suppressing the price until those get approved. And that's why retail's not there. They're not pumping that yet because they want their customers in buying their ETFs and then they want it to skyrocket. And so I think that's why the way they're buying their crypto, it affects the bearish divergence. The way they're doing everything is because it's all big money. There's no retail yet.
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of manipulation. And I think they would much rather buy at a much lower price and take all your crypto from you, from the weak hands, they call it. No offense to anybody here, but we're the weak hands compared to unless you don't sell. Like if you just never sell, like you're just diamond hands. A lot of people, they dump when the
Yeah,
price
I
starts
have no
dropping.
idea how to sell. I don't know where the button's at.
Good. So yeah,
But the other side of that coin, the other side of that coin is you're absolutely right about the S&P and the stock market being overpriced. I mean, that's out there. That's public knowledge. There's something that's going to happen there for sure.
yeah. Yeah, that's my concern, guys. I'm not trying to spread fear of doom and gloom or anything. I'm just looking at like history repeating itself. And this happens sometimes when there's just so much bullishness in this in the atmosphere, but the price action and the actual numbers don't match up. It doesn't work. It's like there's too much wrong yet. There's still like the tariffs, the wars, the inflation, all these things, the job reports, all of this stuff, interest rates, all these things just are not adding up to a really good economy. Even though on the surface it seems like everything's fine. Trump says it's perfect, so it must be. I like Trump, don't get me wrong, but he's a bullshitter. He is trying to make sure that, and not only that, guys, but there's also some other things going on. I don't know if you noticed, but why are they barricading the White House right now? Why are there all of this intel talking about insurrection, not insurrection, inside cells, Iranian, sleeper cells, and all? I mean, there's a lot of war shit still going on. There's a lot of negative stuff going on still that they're worried about. A lot of doomsday, stuff that's still being talked about out there. And they're not talking about it on the news to the people. They're not trying to scare us, but
Camera. Your camera got bumped, boss.
I don't know why it keeps doing that. Every time I move, it follows me around. But so I'm not one of those kind of people that just sees these things and ignores them. That's why you might think that I'm a little more bearish than maybe Chad or some other people. It's not that I'm bearish, it's that I'm cautious. I was fully expecting us to hit 160, 170, and we still can. We could get to the top of phase 4. We certainly still can. And I hope we do. Because I have like hodling accounts and crypto just sitting there, which of course I would like it to go up in value. But I'm concerned with what I'm seeing and the people that are leading the pack in the whole hurrah to, bull market blow off tops and, huge pumps to the upside are usually the people and the YouTubers that don't really know what they're talking about. And they have the most followers. Have you ever noticed that? The people who are just talking shit all the time have the most followers.
People are always looking for the alpha, man. They're always looking for a leader.
Yeah.
It's the programming.
Yeah. And guys, I'm in some other trading groups that I've been in for years, like stock trading groups and stuff. And I never got out because I was grandfathered in, and they charge like, $9,000 every quarter just to be in some of these groups now. And some of these guys, and these are stock market traders, don't get me wrong, they'll short Bitcoin too, but they don't do it on futures contracts like we are. They do it with options. And these are just stock traders. But these guys are, man, they're short. They're shorting everything. They think that the shit's about to hit the fan. And I'm not telling you that that's what's going to happen. I'm just telling you what I'm hearing also from people who make millions. These people are not, these guys make millions, like 60x options trades, shorting the S&P when no one else thinks it's about to drop. No one else thinks it's about to drop. And they're telling everybody in their group to go short. I'm not doing that here. I'm not trying to scare everybody and say go short because I don't know. But what I have noticed in those groups is even when I'm doubting that they're right, they end up being right sometimes. Like, holy shit, how did they know that? And so that's why I'm also cautious. I'm cautious because I don't want that to be true, but at the same time, what is most likely to happen? So, that's why when I'm on these calls with you guys, and some people in the group, and listen, Chad's been more bullish than me, and he's been right in the short term. All of these signals he's gave killed it, right? And I was shorting, a couple weeks ago and over the last couple weeks, and I would have made a lot more money if I would have went long with Chad's signals. So please take that, listen to Chad's signals. But Chad's not stupid either. He knows when he thinks it tops in. He can read the market too, and me going short thinking that we're at the top doesn't mean we can't pump up from 98 back up to 112. I'm just saying that somewhere in the between there, above 100 to 100 to 112 is the top. I'm not saying 112. I'm not saying 109 is the top or 108 is the top. I'm just saying that we might have already seen the top. So I is short on one of my accounts now, even though I know I could go way negative in the short term. But I'm not telling you guys to do that because that is a much higher risky trade, much higher risky trade. So, however, I will tell you when I think that it is time that it's much safer to short. Remember what I was just showing you about this bull flag that it possibly break to the downside, and that's what it seems to be doing. I'm not sure if that's the full flag yet. It could just take a little time. It could be like this for all I know, or even over here. But we're hitting some resistance up here at the 109.7. And there's no really anymore. A lot of people got liquidated up here. So I don't know if those people they just couldn't stomach any more pain. They were negative, and just waked up and hit all of their stop losses or their liquidations. And why were they short? And to begin with, maybe they were thinking that this right here, this overall downward trending high, lower high, lower high, that was it. It was just going to hit this and come back down. That's logical to think that. You know, we have this huge wick above it now. So this would have to literally drop all the way back down below 108.5 and come back down into this channel. Otherwise, it's going to bounce above this white line, which is the 108.9, and hold as support. And then what? Well, now we might be trying to get back to new all-time highs, but we might have some strong resistance here because we had it here and we had it here and we had support here. So let's just look at that. So we went above it here, support, fell through, resistance, wicked up above it, didn't hold above it, came all the way back down to 100. Try it again, wicked above it, came back down, hit it, came back down, hit it, fell again, all the way down to 98. Come back up. Here we are again. Could we come up and hit it? That's the 110,300. 110,300. Could, sure, could. But there's also several times where we tried and did not get that high. Did not get that high. Did not get that high. So, you know, no rhyme or reason yet, guys. But if we break this downward trending resistance here, which we are above it now, but we would have to hold above it, and I would say probably for the day. Let's go to the daily time zone or the daily chart, and let's zoom in. We would probably need a daily candle over it. So we're still in this green candle, and all it's done is go above it right now. So it could come back down. You can see some of these here on the daily candles, wicked up above it, came back down, wicked up above it, came back down, wicked up above it, came back down, came back down. We're above the white line right now, but we didn't get to this red line yet. But we could pump up to it and come back down. And this high right here is still lower than this high, which is still lower than this high. So it would technically still be lower highs, even if this dropped right now. And it would just be a long wick above this line. So the other way to do it is don't look at this as a flag. Let's get rid of this line. And let's just put the line where the top has always been. And let me just change the color. And we'll bring this horizontally to where we've hit several times and never got higher. Well, never held above. So let's go right. So right here, we hit resistance. We wicked above, we held right here. The next candle opened right on top of that line, went up, next candle opened and fell below it. We came up and hit it, resistance, resistance, resistance. This one wicked above it, but didn't hold above it. We fell. This one came above it. I'm talking about the yellow line here. Went above it. Next one fell below. Next one opened, went above it, came back down, opened the next one below. This one came up, couldn't get to it. This one's now hitting it again. So technically speaking, right here, 109. What's the price right now? 109.5. We came up to 109.5. Might even be a little lower than that. It might actually be right where it's at. So let me just move that to 109.6. I would say 109.5, yeah. We have support, resistance, 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 resistance. And then also if you take this yellow line, just go all the way back. I got boom. Resistance right there. So listen, guys, I could be totally wrong with this being the top. We could have 5 more months, 6 more months, and I'll push all the way up to 170. I hope it happens, but I'm also cautious because of everything else, all the other things that I just mentioned on this call. So with that being said, let's look at what else do we want to look at?
ETH has really taken off.
What is?
ETH has.
So is Skya.
Damn, that's a big firework.
Pull it up here, guys. Which one you talking about? XRP, by the way, has been pumping seriously. What's going on with XRP? We're back up to 250.
Somebody mentioned ETH, and then I mentioned Skya.
Ripple just applied for a US banking license.
I've got Cardano, the biggest pumper on my watch list.
Yeah, this is XRP right here. Definitely pumping. Lots of positive news. Broke to the upside of a long downward trending resistance line. Or did we? Let me just look a little higher. Yeah, looks like we did. Maybe. Maybe not. Possibly still in his wedge here on the 4 hour on XRP, but we did have a nice bump from the bottom here when we came down to 190 just last week, basically 10 days ago. Pumped all the way up to 232, pulled back, and it's wicking back up again right here. But this is a big bullish flag, right? I'm sorry, say the other ones again, guys.
Sky, yeah, SKYA.
Sky. Skya. Not much price history here. But I mean, it definitely curved back around, obviously, and it's hitting, it's just now hitting the resistance right here. Support, resistance, resistance, resistance. It's just coming back up to this level from when it launched and dropped and bounced, went through it, resistance, 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 fell, curve all the way back around, comes right up to that level again, hit any resistance. So this is one to watch. I don't know if you're long. I mean, if obviously if you got in down here on this curve, that would have been obviously on its way back up. Going long somewhere in here would have been luck, because you wouldn't have really known that this was about to happen, probably. Because I would have just thought there would have been more of this to create a giant cup. So we could have a cup formation here. Possible. I can't imagine it not hitting resistance here. Let's zoom in. I mean, it looks like it's trying to get above it right now. Yeah. Couple big candles. You see these candles are getting smaller and smaller. This was the big pump right here. We have another green candle with a high wick to the upside and come back down. This candle closed below this one, did not make a higher high. Now we got a little bit of a red showing. You know, could be this the resistance right there that it's hitting. And obviously we're at the top of the RSI at the 100 going sideways. And a lot of times when it starts to do that, you see the price getting higher and higher and higher, but this staying sideways until there's only one thing. The price could continue higher and this will continue sideways, but as soon as that blue line crosses the orange line to the downside, that's going to drop. So yeah, listen, I don't want, I'm not trying to persuade anybody here to think that we're at the end, or that, again, I want to be clear that we are in a bull market and there is technically 6 months left at least, right? Until the end of this year. It's just that, I feel like it's my obligation and my duty to everyone in the group to give my analysis on everything else that I'm seeing that doesn't make sense to me. And you can take it for how you want. Some people don't like to hear it. And I don't blame you, because listen, it's just like it makes me cringe too when I see all of these, kids on social media. Yeah, we're going, this is it. Trump just did this. We're gonna hit 200,000. We're gonna hit, this is it. Altcoin season starting right now. XRP is going to $10. When I see this shit, I laugh. When I know for a fact that in the last bull market, these kids, a lot of them, not all of them, some of them, I call them kids because they're teenagers or they're 20, that in the last bull market, they were just getting their driver's license. They haven't been through anything yet in their life. Okay, look at this. We just got a little pump here on Skya. It's pumping above that resistance line. So I just think that there's a lot of hype, but I don't know where it's coming from. I don't know where they're getting their information from. What was the other one, guys? Let me look at all of them. I mean, Sky looks good, guys, but it's already had this huge run up, so nothing lasts forever. So be careful longing this. You might want to wait to see what happens here. It would need to hold support above this major, what was a resistance and support line. And by the way, this has not been around long, this coin. It only launched back here in May, so it doesn't have much price history, but the price history that it has shows major support and resistance right here, and it's coming up to that level right now. In fact, it could be right there. and it's coming up to it right now and just tweaking above it, wicking above it just a little bit. So it could now start to form a big handle. This could be a big cup and handle. Or it just could be blowing right through this. Could be something new about this coin, something announcement, something that happened that's causing this thing to pump. Anybody got any other information on it?
Anybody there? Can't hear nothing.
Can't hear me?
We can hear you, Ryan.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, element spiked up as well. Nico, your analysis is very much appreciated. I've been on blinders for so long. Those TV analysis miss the short-term target all the time, I guess, because they're on TV. Yeah. Yeah. Listen, I don't like to be the bearer of any bad news, but to me, it's not bad news. It's just being prepared for when, when the inevitable happens, guys. If you don't think a bear market's going to happen, then you're the one that has a problem. Now, the question is when, and that's a crystal ball question that no one can answer. Chad closed all his trades out. Which signals? Let's see. I don't know which ones. Let's go look. But he did say that he, right here, updated SNL. I'm sorry, let's see. Now he's saying should have held, but TP my entire board of trades. I'm in great profits, and I see a retracement coming that we could re-enter from in Asia session tonight. Yeah, so we might see a pullback, he's saying, and that it could just pump back up. Yeah, that would be a good re-entry.
I went through and only did 50% on those on Chad stuff, and then I put a trailing stop behind it, and I moved my stop loss up. So I'm still kind of in it, and I'm glad I did. But
good, yeah. Yeah, and that's a crystal ball thing too. You don't really know when the top is in. You got a big pump to the upside. Usually there's retracement and a pullback. Chad taking his profit was smart, but yeah, I could have. Obviously in hindsight, if it pumped up a little bit more, you could say, "Oh shit, I wish I would have stayed in." But at the same time, had you stayed in and it didn't pump up anymore, then you'd be the one thinking, "Damn, I should have got out." So, we've seen that happen both ways. It's a little nerve-wracking, I know.
What's your advice on
might be a good one.
Which one?
BSW.
All right, give me 1 second here. Just look at something.
and we get a chance, Nico, just get your take on, I'm having trouble, I set a take profit and a stop loss. It doesn't hit my take profit. I'm in profit, but then it goes back, it hits my stop loss. So I'm maybe not putting my take profits in the right spot, or I'm not sure.
On which one?
No, just in general, that's happening to me.
Okay, so say it one more time. I'm sorry. You're putting a take profit target or your stop loss?
Well, I'm putting a stop loss and then a take profit, but then I'm going into profit, but not yet to my take profit, but then it goes back down. I get stopped out. My stop
He's
loss.
putting his stop loss too close is all.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So you find yourself in profit, but then it comes back down and wicks down and hits your stop loss.
Right. Yep.
Okay. How are you determining where to put your stop loss?
Well, that's the problem. I guess I don't really know how the best way to do that.
Right. So
in my take profit spot.
Right. Okay. This is BSW. The young lady wanted me to look at. It's down, and I'm going to show you a way to. Let's just look at this one.
I'm in already. I just want to share. I'm in already.
Okay. Are you you long or short?
And no, on a long I'm at 60% up.
Where did you go long? Down here?
I went long. Let me see the price. I went long here. 0.01575.
Okay, nice. Right on this, pretty much right after it bounced off this spike down.
0.03355, but I don't know if it's going to do that. or
Well, I
not.
mean, just look at the overall trend here. I'm on the 5 minute and the overall trend is downward, right? So we've had many times where it would pump up, come back down lower, pump up, come back down lower, pump up, come back down lower, come up, come back down lower, pump up, come back down lower. So all of these highs are lower highs.
Mm-hmm.
The highs are getting lower and lower and lower. And it's coming up to a possible high right now. Does that mean it's going to drop lower again?
Yeah.
I can't tell you, I don't have a crystal ball, but if I just look at the history of this downward trending channel, I would say that probably yes. And then maybe up again.
Mm-hmm.
So you might want to take profits. And
Yeah.
unless it breaks out here, and goes higher than this high. So how do you know when this downward trend is over? When it breaks a downward trend and gets higher than the most recent high. That was the most recent high. So it would literally have to go break out here, hold as support, and get higher than this and hold this as support.
Okay.
That would be the trend reversal. Here's the trend. That would be a trend reversal. And then it would do this and this and this would start going this direction. And it would start to look like, this.
Okay.
So, that may not be what you want to hear, but when I'm looking at this,
It's okay. It's a good advice.
yeah, no, I'm just seeing lower lows right now. So, and lower highs. So, I mean, you did get in at a good price right here on this bounce, but you
Okay.
have to look at where is it going to, and it doesn't. Every time it did bounce here and went up and bounced here and went up, it's hitting this downward trending resistance, and it already just hit it just now. So I would be cautious there. What you could do instead is put a stop loss on and just move your stop loss way up to here into profit, right? And that way,
Okay.
if it does keep going, then you're still in. But if it falls below, then you're out.
Okay. The stop loss should be where right now, based on your
What price are you at? I mean,
uh,
it's at 0.16, but what price did you enter?
0.01575.
Yeah, so I mean, you could move just to be on the safe side, me personally, you might not let you put it this high. It just depends on the slippage here, but I mean, I'd probably put it at 0.0165, 0.01657.
Okay.
Me personally, that's because you might get stopped out when you do that. It might hit it, but
Yeah,
but
it's safe.
that would be better than not having one and it coming all the way back down to your entry.
Yeah, that's true.
And then you could always re-enter, guys. So if your stop loss, if you have a tight stop loss right here and you got in here and your stop loss is up here and it hits it and takes you out, and then it breaks out after that, and you're like, damn, I should have stayed in. What you do then is you just made profit. You took profit. That's good. That's a successful trade. Then it breaks out and then it retests and starts to climb. Then you just get back in here long again because now you have a breakout. But so, I mean, there's an old saying, you never go broke taking profit.
Yeah. But it's like 1 hour when I'm looking at on my phone, 1 hour look like a job-based rally. That's why I entered. It's
Yeah.
look like that on the 1 hour.
I mean, it definitely does right here. You can see, but if we go to the 1 hour, that was a lower time frame. Let me go to the 1 hour. Look at this big fake out here. Back down. And when this happens and we come back down, it usually goes right back into the same track that it was in. But let's just take a downward trending support line from way up there. And you can see it just hit that. That's when you went long down here. So this downward trend right here, this little downward trend right here, could break right out of that. It could, yeah, it certainly could. So you can stay in. That's why I say move the stop loss, because now the other option is don't do anything. Just leave it the way it is and see where it goes. But then you run the risk of it coming back down to you being negative on the trade. So let's take a much longer this is not necessarily a channel, but if I touch this, if I do this right here, we could just still be way at the bottom of this channel and it could come all the way back up to here. But it's only done that once over here. It didn't do it throughout this whole thing. So I don't know. This is the most recent pump and dump and then drop. Pump, dump, and drop right back down. But the last time it came down here, it did this, right? And you might be thinking that's what's going to happen now because it's doing this and it's touching, so it might pump up. But as you can see, that's not what always happens when it touches this. Sometimes it goes up a little.
Off. So that's right.
So I would just be cautious. This is a coin that's hasn't been on the exchange for a long time, and it's had some big spikes. Let me just go back and see how long has this thing been around. All right,
Yeah. Oh,
starting to fill in now. Let me go back.
Fart coin.
Someone's giving me subliminal messages to check fart coin. Who is the fart coin?
I'm surprised fart has lasted as long as it did, but it's actually doing pretty good. Like if you know how to ride it, it's actually not bad.
Whisper in the wind fart coin. Yeah.
It's
When you
one of,
look at
it's
this,
one of the best ones in price action, actually.
what's that?
Fart coin is one of the best ones that move as far as the
Price
most
action.
price action. It's been pretty consistent.
Yeah, it's been crazy. If you look at this trend line for the young lady that was on BSW here, if you zoom out a little further on the daily, we might not have touched the bottom. It just depends on where you draw your line. But obviously we're at the bottom of this downward trending channel here, but this downward trending channel here could be the same as like this one. Where we could break out and have a big pump, or it could be like this one. You can't compare really to what it's done in the past, other than it's never gone below this line yet. And if we take a top resistance line and we put that here, we've had some wicks up, wicks up, wicks up, wicks up. Never really want to put this one wicked up right here. Let's just touch that. We're kind of in the middle of this channel now, if you look at it this way. And me personally, I normally wouldn't enter a position in the middle of a channel, but you didn't do it wrong, because it is in a channel within a channel. This channel right here is inside this big channel right here. And it certainly could pump back up to the upside.
Yeah, it's look.
Yeah, I would stay in it and see what happens.
Yeah, I'm watching you. Thank you, Nico.
You're
I
welcome.
appreciate it.
Fart coin. And I did draw this thing up. We had a lot of lines on this before, and it did the cup and handle it. It looks like a big cup and handle, doesn't it? On the daily. Let's see what is going on with fart coin. I mean, it looks like we did have a big up, and possibly this is still the handle. If we do break out, this is a possible downward trending bullish flag kind of handle situation. We break out, where would that bring us? $2.23 for fart coin, somewhere up here in this range. And if we bring that over, isn't that interesting how, if we really zoom out, it's probably right to where these candles were up here, right there, boom. This could be a big altcoin season pump right here, fart coin. So that's a possible long getting ready to happen there. What was the other one? Ada? This was Cardano. Very similar to XRP, we got a giant pennant. We have a apex breakout imminent, bullish, somewhat.
A little bit of reconsolidation right now.
Yeah. Which way is it gonna go? Up or down? Let's see, we have an upward trend here. We have possible widening channel. Let's just look here. This could be just coming down to this level here before finally breaking out. I would say breakout is imminent on this one, on XRP, and on the one I was just looking at before that. What was the other one? Let's look at ETH.
Farcoin.
Oh, Farcoin, yeah. ETH. ETH doing some weird stuff also. We were in a, let me get rid of some of this stuff. It's a little crazy looking, but not really. I mean, we had an upward trending support. We broke to the downside. Same with Bitcoin. Same thing happened. Basically, let me just get this line right here, over here, move this over here. We had possibly a kind of a wedge situation here where we were winding into. We hit here, war broke out. No, this is way earlier. This is the daily time frame. This is back in February here. And we broke to the downside, came back up. We hit resistance on this support and resistance zone right here. Can't get through, can't get above. Bullish flag breaks to the downside, retests this upward trending support. I'm not a big fan of Ethereum, but
What is sorry to interrupt you, Nico. What is Chad thinking on the ETH there?
couldn't tell you. Is he on the call?
Oh,
No, he hasn't been on in a minute.
okay. Sorry.
He got off. He doesn't like me talking about. He doesn't like me. He can't stand listening to my bearishness.
Can I ask a question about a coin?
Say it again.
Would you be able to check out a coin for me?
I can't hear you. You're a little muffled. Say it again. Which one?
ENA.
ENA. ENA.
Yes.
Okay.
Can you hear me better now?
Yes.
Sorry, I'm at
That's
work.
okay. No, it's okay. It just sounded a little muffled.
Athena.
Huge downtrend, still going down. With the daily, anyways. I don't know what Nico's gonna think, but
Yeah, it's been hovering around that 30% range, lower 20s.
Interesting. I mean, we had what appeared to be a huge cup, perfect cup, but it didn't break to the upside. We come back down, we bounced, and sometimes whenever there's a cup up against major resistance, which is the all-time high, at least since it's been on this platform.
What time frame are you on right there?
I'm on the daily.
And we're overbought on the RSI.
Yep. On the daily. Let's look at the weekly. Weekly's already dropped, as you can see right here, where the blue line crossed the orange line to the downside. It's dropping, but what is it dropping to? I mean, we do have support here. At least we have so far. And again, there hasn't been much touch points to really know if that's a really strong support or not. If we go down to like a lower time frame, like the hourly or something, you might see different opportunities for swing trades and from. But trending down, downward trending, up against support. Apex, breakout, imminent. So, you know, if it breaks to the downside or breaks to the upside, that's what that would be the best entry position right there. We got a few of them. The ones that you guys had me look at are all breakout imminent. They're all in some type of apex or you know, narrowing wedge where the ceiling is getting lower and lower and lower and the floor is holding support, and it has nowhere to go, guys. It squeezes into an apex and it has to break out one direction or the other. Very rarely does it just keep going sideways. And if it does, if this does just keep going and bouncing off this floor and just keep going sideways, 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 then this ceiling was not the ceiling yet. There, you just bring that over until there's a breakout. But generally speaking, we got 1, 2, 3, 4 touch points on the top. We could hit it again, but I would say breakout is imminent here on ENA.
I don't know if you heard me on like the weekly. It's like looking to like form a W if it does in reverse on the weekly. It's looking to go up if it does reverse anyways.
Yeah. That would be a big one. And I mean, all you have to go by is what it's done the last time it was down here. But as you can see, it hit here and then hit here and 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 hit here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 weeks down here before it did this. So we're down here now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. About the same amount of time. You got a blue line curving up at the bottom here. It looks like it's making a higher low than here. If that blue line crosses the orange line to the upside, you could start to see a breakout here to the upside. And I wouldn't wait for the W to form here. I would say that this breakout down here would be probably worth going long on, especially if you put a stop loss right under this support to protect yourself in case you were wrong. But so far, it has gotten below this, but not by far. I mean, it wicked down below it here, but then went back up. So is it possible to wick down below this and stay? Yes. So I would put stop loss below this wick right here, somewhere right here, maybe 17 cents, 0.17. In fact, I'm going to just go along right now myself with a little tiny bit just to see what happens here. My liquidation is very close on this, so I'll put a stop loss at 0.1. Let's just say 0.186. And just put a TP up here somewhere at $1.
Yeah, when you're done, Nico, just have a look at like cake for me if you could. When you're done.
Which one? I'm sorry.
Boy. I didn't catch it, and he just ran off to kill his dogs.
He said cake.
Yeah, I believe he said, hey,
Cake. Man, I haven't heard about cake in a long time.
Hey Nico, what kind of leverage do you use when you go into these types of altcoins?
I was just at 10x leverage on that long. I just did.
10x. Okay.
This is cake. Obviously, I was looking at this not that long ago because I drew all this stuff on it already. Let's see what's going on here. We got a support level down here. We've hit it a few times. Bouncing. Looks very similar to the one we were just looking at as well. Let's see. Do we have a
Maybe a W forming too?
I totally missed that cake just because the girlfriend just got home from fishing with her dad. Sorry, Nico. It's all good. Like I can watch replay anyways.
No, I just got on it right now. So you're the one that asked for cake. Here's cake. Is that the one? Are you the one that?
Yes, yes, he is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, did you have a question about it, or just?
I'm just wondering what you think.
I mean,
That's all.
it looks like it's winding into an apex like the last several I looked at. I mean, I'm on the weekly time frame, so this could go on for a while, right? Depends on what you're trying to do. I mean, if you're looking for a big move to the upside, I mean, it is in a upward trending support right here in the middle of an apex. As you can see, we had a low, a higher low, higher low, higher low, and we have lower highs, high, lower high, lower high, lower high. It's winding into the apex. Is it going to break to the upside, or is it going to break to the downside and come back down into this apex? So I would be cautious if you're already in a trade. That's different.
No, I'm not. I was just wondering. That's all.
I am on the weekly. So on the weekly, I'm zoomed out and I'm looking at the big picture. But if I go down to like the hourly, it's going to look totally different. It's going to look like, hey, this thing's going up. We should get in. All right. So let me just show you that upward trending line that I drew is this one right here, and it has been bouncing on it and climbing, but when it does hit the top, it is a lower high than the last one. So I'm just anticipating that it's going to wind into this apex.
No.
So right, so when you did the top line, you only went to the wicks, but the bottom you went to the actual candles, not the wicks. I'm just wondering, like, do you always just draw to the right to the wicks, the candles? What? I'm just wondering how you draw your charts up is all.
Yeah. It's kind of instinctive really, because as you can see here, I went right through this, but that's because we had a pump above. This was the only time where it bounced and then went through and then held as resistance. So I look, if I draw a line to try to touch all of first I just draw the line. Even when it's not accurate, I just draw. Let's just say I put it right here, right? Then I come and look. How do I want to? Okay, I want it to be. I don't want it to be up way at the top of this one, because what about this one? If I put this one at the very tip top of all the wicks, then that's it right there. It's only had 2 touch points right here, right? But if I bring this down, we like there, and then I adjust this one to there. Now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 touch points. Now, what about the ones where it went through? Well, here you can see it went through right here, and it came down and held support right there. Then it climbed, but it did not make a higher high, and this one fell all the way back below the line, and it came back up and retested right there. So I know that's the line. And then not only that, but this one wicked right up to it here. And then not only that, but this one wicked above it, did not hold, came back below, and then retested right here as resistance, retested right here as resistance, fell, and came back up and retested again as resistance. So I know that's the line. So there are a couple times when it's gone above it, but those times did not hold. And when it came back below, it retested. So I'm pretty confident that this is probably the most accurate place for this line. Now, could I put another one up here just touching the wicks to the very tippy top? Yes. And where that would matter is if this broke out here and then started to pump, I would have this line up here as the last resistance level, because it's done that twice before. That makes sense?
Yeah. Sorry, I was just trying to get my mouse there. I got the 3 screens and one busted, so yeah. But yeah, no, that totally makes sense. I was more or less asking for the new people, but yeah,
Yeah, no,
it's all
that's
good. But yeah, no,
It's
thank
a good
you.
question. Like a lot of people are confused as to where to put the lines, and like down here, when there's no line at all, what I do is I'll draw a line and I'll put the line somewhere. Right here, maybe. I see these 2 touch points, and then I'll move it up. Where's the majority of the touch points? That would be here, because here we hit it. We went below it, but we came back above it and bounced on it as support. We went up, came back and bounced on it, went up, came back and bounced on it. Here we went through it, here. And if I really zoom in, you can see, we hit support, went through it and had resistance. Resistance, went through it, support. So to me, that's just a more accurate where the line is. Now you might say, yeah, but what about these wicks? Okay, well, if you really want to touch the bottoms of all the wicks, you can do that too. That would just be the lower low. That's like the basement. This is the floor, that's the basement floor. So sometimes if it wicks through this, so if you're over here and you're waiting to see, oh, it's coming down to the floor that I had, and it goes through a little bit, what you want to see is, okay, well, it's done this already 1, 2, 3 times. Maybe it's just going to wick down and come back above. Let's just wait and see. Now, if it wicks down and doesn't come back above, let's say it wicks down and comes back and bounces here. So what used to be support is now resistance. Now you want to wait to see if it goes lower than where it went through, because then that would be a trend reversal. Then that means that this is not happening anymore. It went below it and it held underneath it now. Whereas these times it went below it, came back above. Went below it, came back above. Went below it a little bit, came back above. This time, if it goes below it and doesn't come back above, well, then that is no longer support. That's how I do it anyway. We got today is Wednesday, so we got a basics call starting, right? Let's see. Marlon posted a link I can read here in a second. I just want to make sure that Bill posted the link in the Zoom chat for the basics call, guys. If you're brand new, you want to get on that. That's starting in 2 minutes. It's also posted in the main chat, I am certain, over here in our Discord group, right there, down here. And then also in the announcements section up here. There it is right there. So make sure you guys get on that, especially if you're brand new, especially even if you're not brand new and you've been in for a month, even you can get on that, because that's a continuation here, but with the most stuff that you need to know just for the basic stuff. There's a lot of people trying to get ahead of themselves and do stuff that's a little bit more advanced or a little bit more intermediate before they even have the basics down. So please get on the basics call. Make sure you at least have the basics down. That's important as well, just as important in my opinion. And that is in 2 minutes. We're going to wrap this call up. But so ADA, cake, FTX, not FTX. What am I saying? XRP. I mean, and what was the other one? BW something.
Fartcoin.
Fartcoin. All on the verge of a breakout here imminently. This one is, big cup and handle on the daily. Let's go down. This is Fartcoin, by the way. I mean, it's still, and on the on the hourly, it's still just a big, like, possible trending resistance line. If we break out to the upside here, we could see a big pump to the upside on far point. So definitely bullish on a few of these. As far as Bitcoin is concerned, Bitcoin is still retesting, still retesting way up here. Oh man, look how close it came to my liquidation. And it could still try to hit it. Let's see what we got going on here. I don't know. I don't think we have much buying pressure to get up higher right now, but we do have some down here. It can come down and get. I'm on the hourly. Let's go down. It does look like we had a long wick to the upside and then a drop and possibly lower highs happening right now and lower lows. We'll see. Is this going to be a big bull flag where we break to the upside, or is it just gonna wind down a little bit back down to where it pumped up from today? We also have different markets opening up around the world. The Asia market tonight at 7 p.m. And you know, a lot of times when these other markets start trading, guys, there's new buying energy, new buying pressure, new selling, new liquidations, new liquidity on the heat map. You know, when people come alive at different times around the world, there's just new action happening.
I don't know if my mic is too loud or anything, but like yesterday was Canada Day for the Canadians too, so that might have had a little effect on the market. I don't know if it did, Nico, but
yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. Well, what does Canada Day represent? What do they do on Canada Day?
same as July 4th for you.
Oh, okay, so that's your Independence Day, and I'm not sure if that did have anything to do with that. Usually during Independence Day, people are not paying attention to the market. Lee, I'm going to mute you out. Whoever's talking. I don't know if that does have anything to do with it or not. If that did anything or not, because a lot of people are busy, you know, celebrating or doing whatever they do. They're not really trading or doing anything with the market, but yeah, I'm going to listen. There's a lot of bullish stuff happening. So I know that even Chad and some other people, you know, I do talk about the bearish possibility here or the top of the market here. And I know that could be, you know, conflicting. It's conflicting. It is conflicting against other people's viewpoints. So I do realize that, guys. And I'm not trying to tell you that this is the end and that we're in bear market, because we wouldn't keep climbing if we were, right? But there comes a time when the top is the top, right? And when that happens, I will announce it from the rooftop. But right now, I'm not sure when it is. I'm not sure if we're going to retest 112 or not in the very near future. So we possibly could. So far throughout history, the fifth candle generally doesn't get higher than the fourth. And we're now in the fifth candle. But it has once before, and that was in the last bull market where it pumped up $3,000 higher than the fourth candle, where it went to 68K. So that's the only time that's ever happened. And there was a lot of weird things going on at that time as well. We had the big FTX scandal, and we had COVID. We had a whole country shut down, a whole world going crazy, right? And no one was caring anymore. So interesting times. And so we got a lot of positive catalysts happening right now. We should be at 120, 130, 150, but we're not. So that's what causes me to be a little hesitant, because there's some manipulation happening. There's something going on that's causing us to not be pumping really high right now. And so for that reason, I'm cautious. And then when you add that to the fact that 112 was the high of the fourth candle on the 6-month time frame, then and then you look at the stochastic RSI on the weekly, and it's going down below the 80. And you look at all these things and you just add it all up. There's only so many things you can check off, right? And then all of a sudden it pumps up higher, and you're like, what the hell? These indicators are all saying going lower, and then all of a sudden the price goes higher. Is that manipulation? I don't know. So
Nico, I have a general question when you got a chance.
Yeah, go ahead.
So a few days ago, and I'm sorry if I'm late to the attention train, but a few days ago you mentioned something about a contest, but you didn't really elaborate further on it.
Yeah, so yeah, it was a little premature for me to mention that. We will be announcing that here, not this week, but for next week. So next week we're going to be doing a challenge. It's going to be like a 3 or 4 day contest or challenge. And yeah, we'll be announcing that in the group, and it's through FEMEX. So it's
Okay, thanks.
in concert with FEMEX. They're co-hosting, co-sponsoring it for us. So there's big money prizes available. But we'll give you all the details next week when we're ready to share that.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thanks for bringing it up. Um, mm, 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 mm. Let me just see something real quick. See if there's if I have any-
Bitcoin is going.
Bitcoin's going where?
It's going down a little bit. What level do you think it will go down to today?
It's a hard question to answer because it's doing everything opposite of what I think it should be doing. And that's not because I'm dumb and don't know what I'm looking at. It's just it's defying most of the other indicators at the moment. So it's either market manipulation or, which is probably is, we had a big pump already. We had a big run up today from 107. Actually,
It should at least return to there, you would think.
we had a big run up today from 105 all the way up to 1096. Let me just show it to you real quick and then we'll wrap it up here. So we had this big run up today. So, you know, we could come down to this upward trending support line right here to 108, 108.5. We're trending down right now, but, you know, it could easily break out of this. This could be a bull flag for all I know. I mean, it does look like one, right? But if it continues to trend, it would need to break out quickly for that to be a bull flag. If it continues to trend all the way down, back down to its start of that flag, like right here, generally speaking, that would be the support level where we have resistance right here, and then a bounce. Is it going to get back above this line, or is it going to hold as resistance at that point? So that would no longer be a bull flag. I'm on the 5-minute time frame, so it looks like a bull flag. But if I go to the hourly, it's not so much. Right now, it's just
Nico, if you go to daily on BTC, the last bull flag we have, it's like the candle that is green now. You had a way of showing us like to measure it to see if it's going to be the same size with the previous one.
Here I am on the daily right now, and this last candle is still green, and we're above this line right now.
Yes,
So
when we compare it with the one with the bull flag that forming before, like
yeah,
is you said before it's supposed to be almost the same length, right?
no, it doesn't have to be. It's just what I was saying is that this one lasted, you know, this one here lasted like 280 days, which is like, you know, 8 months before this broke out to the upside. And we have something similar looking happening here now.
Okay.
Let me just put this here. I mean, if I let me get rid of some of this stuff here so you can see if I just make this a bull flag here.
And in the overall thing, when a green candle form like that and cover the red one, it's not bullish, not all the time too.
Which one you talking about? This?
Like if you see on the daily, the two last red candle is covered by a green candle. So is it not a bullish sign or?
Oh yeah, it's bullish. That's why we pumped from 105 all the way up to almost 110. Yep, it's bullish, but that bullish candle already happened. Just like this one here already happened. Just like this one here already happened.
Yeah,
What happens
you
after?
don't think there's a last candle remaining, a last green remaining? Because it's like you need to count 1, 2, 3, like 3 green candle before we have a big pullback.
It
Or
certainly could
my
be the
my
first of, it
assessment.
could be the first of more to come. Yes, it could be.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm hesitant to say it is, and that's exactly what's going to happen because there's no more,
Yes.
there's really not much liquidity above us right now. There's very low buying pressure. And then on the RSI, it's looking like we're at the top coming down. And not only that, but we did not make a higher high. So let's go back to the daily, what I was just looking at.
Yeah, daily and
Okay.
2 minute, and you will see a picture of it. Like,
Yeah, we didn't yet. I mean, it still could, it still can. But right now, right here, this 110.7 or so, right about here. We didn't get higher than that yet. So technically speaking, we are still a lower high.
okay.
Now it looks like I have this at an angle, right? I see this line trending down and this line trending down. But what if I take this line and instead of it trending down, I just put it perfectly horizontal right
Mhm.
there. And then I take this line and I put it perfectly horizontal. Then what? Now what do we got? Let me get rid of only the lines. That makes sense too, doesn't it? We got support, resistance, resistance, support, resistance, support, resistance. We're coming up to it. So are we in a sideways channel like this, or are we in a downward trending? Because this does look downward trending as well. When you draw this properly, it looks downward. Resistance, 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 wick, 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 lower lows. And if I draw another one here, we have lower highs. This is the only high. This time we broke above this high, but we did not break above this one. So if this wicks back down, then we're kind of right back into this channel. It's hard to tell yet how that's going to shape up, but I mean, it's definitely bullish. This whole thing is bullish, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Because in my experience, I learned a lot from Unico. But like when we have like, let's say the last red 2 candles is covered by a green candle like
yeah,
that, it's look bullish. And then I don't say we might not have a retracement on the way going, but it's look really bullish. But
yeah.
anyway, it's what it is.
Well, you're not wrong. You're talking about just on the daily or anytime in general?
Daily, no. We're talking about the daily.
Yeah. I mean, look here, we had 2 red candles.
Mm-hmm. There's a big buy, a big solid candle. It's
Yeah.
green and it's covered the red one. And most of the time when we have that, it's bullish. Even if you see the previous one too, when that big green candle covered the 3 red candle, I know that we were going a little bit up, but it
Here's an
did a
example, right?
retracement. Yeah.
Here's an example of what you're talking about right here with 2 red candles, big green candle cover.
Yes.
And then we
So
pump.
that's a sign of bullish.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sure if I went and looked and just scoured this whole thing, I would find times when it didn't happen as well. So it's all
Yeah.
just.
If you look at the left side, it make a big retracement before it went up.
Yeah.
If you look at the left, they always say look at the left and you will see what will happen.
That's
on
right.
the right.
That's right. And also keep in
If you see
mind that
you will see there is
where
a retracement.
yeah, and also keep in mind that where you see this candle pumping up to right now is
Mhm.
the ceiling. It is the resistance. It is the top of the market. It's the highest we've ever been. And if you take this line right now and put it where it's at, this is the top. This is the all-time high right here,
Yeah.
112. And if you take this over, we're hitting resistance, 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 resistance,
Yeah.
resistance. So this might be a very bullish thing that just happened, but it's also up against resistance. So sometimes even bull flags up against resistance don't break to the
Yeah.
upside. Cup and handles up against resistance don't break to the upside. So just because it's something that normally does, doesn't mean it will because it's up against major resistance right now. But if it does continue up and get above this resistance at the 110, 109.5 or 110 and hold the support, now you're talking a big pump to the upside because now we're breaking, now we will be breaking the all-time high.
I don't say you wrong. I was just saying that I wanted to understand it more.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. You're right that is usually the case. It's just that I look at it, if we were down here and that was happening, because we have a long way to go to get back up to all-time high, but now that we're right up against all-time high and I see something bullish like that happening, I'm like, that could just be too much resistance for it to get through. And then it just falls back down. Like it's trying, but I gotta see it break through first. But
Thank you.
you're in the right spot. You're looking at it in the right way. You're thinking about it in the right way. But as you can see, I got some big shorts down here, and that's
Yeah.
that's scary. I also have some longs up here. I'm long and short, but should I be long up here? Probably not. I don't know. I should wait for it to break through first. I should have been long down here and short up here, right? But I wasn't basing it on whether we could go back up to 112. I was basing it on where anywhere between 112 and wherever it was is close enough to the top, because I can't time the top. I have no idea where the top will be. We can come down to 7, we can come down to 93, pump all the way back up to 112 or 115, and then go into a bear market. Or we can pump all the way up to 120 and 130 and then go into a bear market. We can go into a bearish situation in the short term, come all the way down to 88, and then pump all the way up to 160, all within the next couple months. All that could happen. So what I'm trying to do is not predict, because I can't predict what's going to happen. Is I'm more reactive to what actually is happening. And then, based on some of the indicators that I discussed, as far as the 6-month time frame and the 12-month time frame and stuff like that, those are just things that are there. They're just things that are true. It doesn't matter whether you like it or not, or whether you don't believe it or not, or whether you don't want it to happen this time. It doesn't matter. It has happened every time. And so therefore, that's why I bring it up to you guys. You can make your own decisions. The goal here, guys, is not for you to just do whatever I say or whatever Chad says. It's for you to also come up with your own thesis, your own ideas, and actually analyze the market. Get to the point where you can actually look at a chart and make your own decision based on what's happening, independent of me or Chad or anybody else, and then be right about your idea. When you get to that point, you are self-sufficient. You don't need anybody. You can take trades on your own, and a lot of people in our group are doing that. Over here, if you look into the wins wall, you got Nomi, Shawnee, Chuck, all these people, John, Larson, Ryan, all these people that are taking trades constantly, day in and day out, huge returns. And these are not my signals. They're not Chad's signals necessarily. Some of them maybe, but these are people who see movement in the market. They see a trade set up and they go for it. Grass, USDT, 500%. Eric kicked an ass. Good job, Eric. These are Nomi. Nomi's always taking trades. She's doing that. Her and her husband doing that independently of my signals or Chad signals, because they know what they're doing. And that's the point, is to get you to that point. What I'm doing here is just giving you technical analysis and showing you what to look out for, independent of what I'm actually doing. Like I might be in a short because I'm thinking that we could be close to the top in a bull market, but I'm also certainly willing to be long, and I am long also in sub accounts, and I'm short in sub accounts, because I'm anticipating that if it is the top, I want to be positioned properly. But I'm also taking a big risk doing that, because I could go really negative if I'm wrong, or get liquidated for that matter. And that's happened to me before in my lifetime, but also on the times where it didn't happen, when I took those kinds of risks, I made way more money on those trades than on my little wimpy ones. So, yeah, John, I'm thinking that too. Possible retracement would be around 106.9. I'm thinking we might come back down to that level. No problem, Ryan. I didn't hear your mic. It's all good. Thank you. Okay, guys. Well, listen, just for the record, I'm not bearish. I know it seems like I am because I'm in a short and I keep talking about this might be the top, and I keep talking about the 6-month chart, the 6-month time frame, and historically what that means. But I am all for us going to 180. I'm all for it happening. I'm just wondering why it hasn't yet, based on all the bullishness in the market. So, and with that, I look at the masses, I look at the sheeple, not you guys, but the world, and I see all the bullishness out there, and I see everybody, even on social media, on Instagram and YouTube, TikTok and Facebook, all of these memes, oh, I thought there was a bear market. I thought we were crashing. I thought the economy was bad. It looks like everybody was wrong again. We're going to the moon. Thank you, Trump. when I see shit like that, I laugh because these people they're not basing their opinion or their comment on anything factual about what's actually going on in the economy and in the world. They're basing it on what they see at the moment, which is an S&P 500 at all-time high, which is Bitcoin pushing all-time high. And that's normal, right? When you see that, you think, well, how can we be at the top? How can this be bad, where everything's at the top? And that's when I, Warren, just take the old wisdom from Warren Buffett. When everybody is confident, that's the time to be fearful. When everybody is fearful, that's the time to be confident. And so when everybody is preaching from the rooftop that we're going to the moon, that's when I sit back and say, oh shit, something's about to happen that no one expects, because the masses are usually wrong. The masses, the majority, are very rarely right. So you can either be one of them or you can be contrarian a little bit sometimes. And being contrarian has done me well over the years. Not always. Sometimes my timing is off. I could be off by a month or two. We could have, I would say we got 5-6 weeks tops to really know. And I'll tell you one more thing right before I end this call, guys. One more thing. This is what you got to look out for. In the next 5 to 6 weeks, this is really all you need to know. Let's go. Let me go to, let me go to this chart here. This is the big determining factor right here. On the weekly time frame, on the RSI, over the next 4 to 5 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks, I would say tops. By August, the first week of August, if this purple line down here is not higher, does not break above this downward trending line, and is not higher than this peak right here on the weekly, then the 112 is probably the top. I don't care what anybody says. That's just my opinion. Because there is still time. Let me look at this. We hit it right here at what was that, 12? We hit it right here. 112. That's the high. And then we come down and we bounced on the moving average and we're coming back up. But even though we're coming back up on the price, it's very weak buying pressure because it's not getting above the 112, at least not yet. But this line down here is not getting above this. It's still staying in the downward trend. So this would need to break above and start to climb above the 80. The 80 is the magic number right here. The 80 on the RSI, which is really this peak right here. And it would need to get above that and hold. Then you will see that this bearish divergence is no longer bearish divergence, and we will see a huge pump to the upside. For sure. For sure, for sure. That this bull market is not over if that happens.
Nico?
When stuff is trading off of the or over the OTC, is that included in indicators, that volume or that buying activity?
Well, when stuff is not being traded OTC?
No, when it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is the total buying volume. This is the total price action of Bitcoin. There's no second market. There's no other ledger, basically. So I would say yes. I would say that this is showing us everything on the open market, on the exchanges. It's all we have to go by. If it's not, then there's a whole nother ledger going on, then 2 sets of books, then it would be very difficult for us to know anything.
Nico, how do you get that yellow line on your RSI?
I'm on Trading View. This is not on Femex,
Oh, okay.
and it's just there. It's the default RSI 14, and then you want to put the MA, the moving average. Let me just go to
Nico. Hey, Nico.
yes.
If sorry, I'm just hung up on this trading there. So if it was peer to peer though, right? So if it wasn't on an exchange, if somebody was just trading it peer to peer,
Oh yeah. That would not, you would not know.
that would not show up on the
That's
volume.
correct. And this is possibly what's happening. And the reason why we're not seeing prices shoot to the moon. There could be some selling happening that's not on the exchanges. BlackRock, for instance, could be selling $10 billion worth of Bitcoin to Elon Musk for all we know, or anybody for that matter. And it wouldn't show up here because that price is already baked into the current price, the amount of Bitcoin that they already have. That would be like, me taking $10 out of my left pocket and putting it in my right pocket. It wouldn't change the economy at all. If you have $1 million worth of Bitcoin on Coinbase right now, and you transfer it to a cold storage wallet, it would not affect the current value of Bitcoin. If you have it in a cold storage wallet, and let's say you have $1 million in a cold storage wallet, and I, Nico Makira, say, hey, I want to buy your $1 million worth of Bitcoin. Here's my wallet address. Here's the cash. I'll wire you the money. Send me the Bitcoin. And you send it to my wallet address. You just sold $1 billion, let's just say, to me. And it never left an exchange. It never impacted the exchanges or the value, because it was just moved from one wallet to another. That happens all day, every day. If you go look at the blockchain, you can see hundreds of millions of dollars moving around every single day in Bitcoin. It's like, who are these people sending 10 million, 20 million, $100 million to this wallet address? Who are these people? Anybody ever do that and go look at the amount of money that's just being moved around in Bitcoin every day? And the price is just sitting here doing nothing. But is it really doing nothing? I mean, we were at 108, we came down to 75, we bounced, and we came all the way up to 112, which is, that's a, $30,000-$40,000 pump to the upside. That's pretty big. And when we were here, guys, at 68, 70K, and we came all the way down to 49, we did pump all the way up to 108. That's a $60,000 move to the upside. And not only that, but if you just go back to the bear market bottom, 15.5, we were up 7.5x from then in the last year and last 2 years. So obviously the value is going up, but it's doing it at such a slow rate that right now, as we're hitting these high numbers here, we're wondering why, with all these huge purchases from Michael Saylor and people like that, and these huge hedge funds, why aren't we at 150, 160, 170 yet? At least I wonder that. And so when I look at this and I say, okay, well, if the price does get above 112 and pumps up to 115, 118, 120, 130, 140, this should be on the RSI. We should be making a higher high here. If we don't, here's what I'm saying, in the next 5 or 6 weeks, if we don't, in other words, even if this price pumps up to 115 or 120, but this does not get above this, it's still bearish divergence. That would just be another higher high and another lower high. So you might say, well, what does it matter then? What is bearish divergence? Why does it matter if the price gets higher and higher? That's a good question, but generally speaking, bearish divergence doesn't last for very long before there's a dump. So could it So what I'm saying is, guys, is the bearish divergence needs to be broken. We need to get above this and no longer, and it would eliminate the bearish divergence. It would no longer be bearish divergence if we just broke above this and got up to the 80, which was equal to this high right here. And then the price would be 120, 130, and we would have another reborn hope for the upside, renewed energy and buying pressure. People would be jumping in the bandwagon, and that would push the price to 140, 150. So I would say we probably got 5 or 6 weeks on them, which is basically one more month on the monthly time frame. Let's just look at that. We got on the monthly time frame, you can see we still got some ways to go to get up to that, but it would need to get above this. But look at this rising wedge that we're climbing into right now on the higher time frames. I mean, a breakout is imminent, guys. Which direction? I just don't know yet. I can't tell you. I'm not going to say yes for sure we're going to the upside because I just don't know. And I don't think anybody does. On the short term, on the 1 hour, the 2 hour, the 4 hour time frames, and the 10-minute time frames, yes, you can make predictions on scalping moves to the upside or swing trades. You can make predictions on, price action based on support, resistance, and breakouts of small little trend lines and things like that. But when we're trying to time a top, when we're trying to say, okay, are we really going to have a ballistic move to the upside or not? I would say we need to get above 112 or 110.5 and hold the support. And then on the weekly stochastic RSI or the weekly RSI, we would need to get above this previous high. And as of right now, we just haven't, even though we made a higher high. But it can happen. Paul says, what are your RSI settings? It's just the default RSI 14.
The yellow line, is that the 50?
Yellow line is the moving average. Let me just pull it up here. So here are the inputs right here. You can take a screenshot. You just go to settings and go to inputs, put it in like this. And then on style, you can change the color, whatever you want. If you want yellow is the same as what I have. Visibility, but inputs is. And it all changes depending on what time frame you're on. So I'm on the weekly. I only care and look at the RSI on the weekly. There's something else I want to look at before we wrap it up here. Let's go to Market Cipher B. We do have a green dot on the weekly, which is interesting, but that happened on that big pump. Let me see. Happened right. Back to the daily, let's see what's going on here. On the daily, we do have another big pump. We had a green dot. We already had that pump. Is curving. I don't know if it's going to come back up or not here. It does look like it could. Let's go to the hourly. On the hourly, we do have money flow curving around, probably a red dot getting ready to happen on the hourly right here. See, when the wave crests like that and that light blue gets lighter and lighter and gets smaller and smaller and smaller until it starts to curve around like this or like this, like this. You see that red dot right there? Especially when we're way up here this high. And usually when I see red
Oh, I
dot,
just leave this for you.
Leave over here. Thank you.
You want to catch?
No, no, leave over here.
Okay.
Don Roy, I'm just going to meet you if you don't mind. So let's look at Market Cipher. Let's look at the MACD one more time. I haven't looked at that today. Let's see what's going on. Look at that money flow on hourly. Oh, we got money flowing in on the daily. It got dark green, got light green. You know, it's obviously dipping. Let's go to the weekly and see what's going on. We had big flow in coming from way down here when we were at 74, when we were breaking out of this falling wedge, and we pumped all the way up. And as you can see, we pumped all the way up, 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 up. And here we're hitting the top of the price at 112, and then coming back down. We do have some renewed greenery happening here, but it's still lower right now. As of right now, that's the weekly. It's hard to tell. Man, on the lower time frames, we still got good money flow in until we get to the 10 minutes. Now we have. That's why I can't count on MACD really. It's just kind of all over the place. And we broke. Maybe that's just one of these. Money flowed out. Money flowed back in. We might go green. Who knows, guys? We could be breaking out to the upside here soon. I'm sure Chad will give you a bullish signal. So will I, if I see that happening. If I see us breaking above this 1095 and holding as support. As you can see, this is the only time so far in Bitcoin's history. Well, I shouldn't say that. Let's go back here a little bit. Lower time frame. The few times that we did get above the 1095, we just didn't hold. That's all. This yellow line right here, we get above it, come back down, fall below it, retest, retest, get above it, fall below it, retest, go above it, fall below, retest and drop, get above it, below, get above it, hold a little bit, but never make a higher high, fall below. It's just, for some reason, it just hasn't held above it. And now we are right there. We went above it, fell below. So far, we fell below. We could go much higher above it, but will it hold is the question. It just hasn't. But it did get it to 112 right here. That's the all-time high in Bitcoin. So I'm hesitant to give a prediction as of right now because I don't. Whenever we're banging on the ceiling right now, which is what we're doing, usually we fall back down the floor. So if we break through the ceiling, that's a whole different world, right? Now we're in new territory.
Hey, Nico.
Yes.
Hey, if you had to pad your BTC liquidation, how would you go about doing that?
Say that one more time. If I had to
If you had to move your liquidation out of the way, how would you go about doing that?
You would have to short. I mean, depends. I mean, are you short?
No, not me. I was just wondering if I ever got in that situation, how could I move my liquidation further away?
Yeah, so you either lower your leverage, which you can do while you're in a trade, but it depends on if you're on a coin margin, a Bitcoin margin, or let's just say any coin. You have to be on a coin margin. You can just, let's say you're at 20x leverage and your liquidation is such and such. You lower your leverage to like 16x instead of 20, and your liquidation will pop far away. It'll go much further away. Okay. So the higher the leverage, the closer your liquidation is to your entry. Now, there comes a time when you can't lower your leverage anymore because it's getting close to your leverage. The price is getting close to your liquidation. You can't lower your leverage anymore. You're pretty much in a position where you need to add more contracts. So if you go and double down on your trade, so let's say you're long or short and it's getting close to your liquidation. If you didn't want to get liquidated, but you wanted to stay in that position, in order for you to move your liquidation away, you would have to buy more contracts and not just a little bit of contracts. Because if you just buy like 5 or 10 or 20 or 50, it's not going to move much. But if you're buying thousands of contracts more in the same direction you were in, it will push your liquidation away. This is very dangerous, guys. This is high risk. I do not recommend anybody do that. I've done it 3 times over the past week and a half. And what am I doing when I do that? I'm doubling down. I'm betting more. And if it continues towards my liquidation, I could potentially lose more by doing that. So you have to have the resource. Now, there is an old saying in Bitcoin, you could buy your way out of a negative position. Yes, you can. If you got enough money, you can just keep doing what I just said and keep pushing it away. But there comes a time that maybe it's not going back down. Maybe it's not going the direction you want it to go, and it just keeps going up. And you only have so much money. You can't keep doing that. Back in the day, I remember getting margin called in the stock market, and literally the stockbroker calling me up, or getting an email saying I need to add more money to my account, otherwise I'm about to get liquidated. You probably had that. Some of you have been doing this long enough in FEMAX. You've gotten that email from FEMAX. Anybody got a liquidation email sent to them, warning you that you're about to get liquidated? You need to add more money.
Oh yeah.
Okay, Kimmel, yes. Like if you have any experience trading, that's happened to you. And it's nerve-wracking. So what does that mean? That means they're saying, listen, if you don't do something soon, you're going to get liquidated. Well, what can you do? You can either buy more contracts, double down, bet more, increase or lower your leverage, or close the trade out and take the loss. Those are your choices. Or let it hit your liquidation. Those are your choices. But if you don't want to let it hit your liquidation, then you only have two choices, and that's put more money in. In other words, if you're an XRP, if you're in a USDT trade, you need to put more USDT in your USDT futures contract wallet, and you need to add more contracts to that trade. And first, try to lower your leverage. If it's going against you, you should not be at high leverage in the first place. You should lower your leverage as soon as it starts going against you. But there does come a time when
cost money
you can't
to do that.
Say again?
It costs money to lower your leverage. If you're maxed out on your trade, you're in trouble.
Yeah, if you're maxed out on your trade, you have only two choices. And that is let it hit close the trade out at a loss, or let it hit your stop loss, let it hit your liquidation. Or if you can't lower your leverage, it won't let you lower leverage. The only way to lower your leverage would be to add more contracts.
Okay, thanks, man.
Yeah, I don't recommend getting into that. It's a stressful, nail-biting situation to be in. And
yeah, I was just in one back at when we were at like 76,000, and I got real close to being liquidated, and I was not sure what to do, so I did get liquidated. And if I'd have known that, I'd still be in that trade right now. Maybe I should have back then.
What I would say, how long have you been trading? How long have you been doing this?
Oh, just 6 months.
6 months. I would say that the first mistake is not using the stop loss. And then some of you see me not do it, and you're like, well, you're not doing it. Why should I do it? Yeah. I'm very aware of the huge risks I'm taking. And I warn everybody when I do it. Like, don't do, like, Nico, you're at a short and you didn't give a signal. That's because that's not a signal. What I'm doing in this account is not a signal for you guys. That's high risk. Like, if I was teaching you how to play blackjack, I wouldn't go in and say, put everything you have on red or whatever, or, and I would, you gotta use strict, risk to reward ratios, put stop losses in until you really understand what you're doing, and then only do what I'm doing if you really want to. If you have risk capital to put into a sub account and say, okay, this $5,000, I'm going to risk it all. No matter what happens, I'm going to be okay. If I lose it all, I lose it all. But if it does what I want it to do, then I'll make 50 grand or 100 grand or whatever the case may be. If you're totally aware of that and you're okay with that, then you're making that decision. I'm never going to tell anybody in this group to do that, ever. I'm only teaching you how to trade and how to get in and get out and use proper risk management, things like that. Now, as far as signals go, when you see a signal in the signal channel from either me or Chad, those are higher probability trades. Those are trades that have more of a probability of doing what we want it to do. But then when you don't see a signal from me for a little while, and then you see me live and then I'm in a negative short position, you're like, well, I didn't see that signal. It's because, trust me, you don't want to be in this trade that I'm in right now. And
Yeah, I
I'm not,
appreciate that.
yeah, I'm not special. I'm not trying to say, oh, you're not as good as me. No, I'm taking a big risk by doing it. And I'm doing it in only a sub account. And I am playing. That is the long game for me. I'm willing to go at $20,000 negative to try to make $500,000. But can that bite me in the ass? Yes. I could lose 20 grand. And then what? Well, I just have to do it again. I have to start over. Now, will I do that again? No. Even Chad, yells at me sometimes. Not yells at me, but you know what I mean. He privately, he's like, I don't know why, because he doesn't want to do that. He wants to have more, and there's nothing wrong with it, guys. First of all, there's different ways to trade. There's the people who never want to have a losing trade and are so precise at what they do. They want to constantly have winners and they don't want to take any risk at all. And they want to make sure that every trade they take is going to be a winner or at least not a loser. And that's great. That's fine. I've been trading for 20 years. I get bored sometimes. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna put a blindfold on and throw a dart and see if it hits the bullseye. But I don't really do that. It's not really putting a blindfold on. I actually have thrown the dart so many times that I have a good probability of hitting the bullseye sometimes because I know what I'm doing. But so sometimes I'm like, well, you know what? Let me just put this money over here and let's just see what happens. And I have killed it doing that before, but it is higher risk. Okay. And I'm not suggesting anybody do that. It's just it did bite me in the ass not that long ago, where when we were in that falling wedge and we broke to the upside when we came all the way down and hit 74.5. And I was telling everybody in the group, I was short. I was making 10 grand a day almost every day, shorting on the way down. But once we got down to 74.5, I thought we still had a little ways to go. I thought it was going to come down to 73.8 or maybe 70, maybe 68, the previous all-time high first. So when it was hitting 74.5, Chad was calling longs. He was telling everybody, go long, go long, go long. And I was like, I'm not going long yet. In my mind, I'm thinking, I wasn't saying anything publicly, but I'm like, but Chad was right. That was the time when it broke out and pumped all the way back up to 110, 111. So listen, I'll edify Chad all day long because he saw me he saw me take a big hit that week. My little game that I was playing bit me in the ass. But I wasn't given I was already short, but I wasn't given short signals at 74.5. I just stayed in mine. I just stayed in my short, my last short. Now, on the way down, I made a lot of profit. So I gave some of that back when it broke out to the upside, and I even held. Like, if you really want to see exactly what I'm talking about here, this is what happened right here, and then we'll wrap this call up. So right here, on the way down, I was short, and I was telling everybody in the group, it's better to short the top than to long the bounce. Better to short the bounce at the top. So what I mean by that is when it hits the top and bounces, that's a short. Boom. Hits the top, bounces, that's a short. Hits the top, bounces, that's a short. Hit the top, bounce, that's a short. Hit the top, bounce, that's a short. Hit the top right here. This is when I shorted again for the last time. Every time it hit the top, I shorted, and I made a lot of money every time because it just kept dropping. And I thought it was going to keep doing that until it got to maybe right here at around 70K. And this was the last time it came down to 74.5 and bounced. And right when it hit the top here, I shorted. And then it broke out, and that was negative. And then I thought, it's just going to hit this little level right here because there was major support, resistance, support, resistance, resistance, resistance. It's just going to hit this and fall back down. But then it broke to the upside again, and I went further negative. And instead of taking the loss right here on this short that I was in, I let it ride until it got to about here. And I said, oh shit, this is creating an upward trending channel. It's probably going to come down, but do I really want to hold this all the way back up to here? Because I didn't know how high it would go. And lose all the profit that I just took coming down here. So I did take a big hit right in here. I can't remember what it was, 12,000 or something like that. But I made like 65,000 on the way down. So I didn't give all my gains back, but that was a big risk. Now, if I would have had a stop loss right here and just let it hit, I would have been out. And then if I would have reversed my position, or if I would have went long when Chad told me, I would have probably made 100 grand on the way up, 60 grand on the way down, 100 grand on the way up. That's what I should have done. In hindsight is genius. It's easy for me to say what I should have done. And here I am taking shorts up here again. against other people's better judgments. Chad, for instance, Chad's like, "Are you sure you want to do that?" No, I'm just playing around with one of my sub accounts. This might be a top. Well, I don't think that's, and Chad disagrees, and that's okay. Chad thinks that we're still got a lot of upside left, and that if that happens, I am going to take another hit. But I'm willing to take that risk because I'm thinking that we're close to the top. That's just me. Now, close to the top could mean 112, 118, 120. And if 120 is the top and then it falls, then we're still kind of close to the top. But my liquidation is not going to let me go that far. Okay, so I will take a hit. But I will tell you this, if we break above this level here, this 1099 or 110 and hold, I will get liquidated or I will reverse the position. I will close it and I will then bet on the upswing and I will take a little loss and I will just try to make it back on the next trade. So this is just me. When I give signals in the group, guys, I'm giving you high probability signals that tend to do what we want them to do. And that's why when you scroll up, you'll see very often TP hit, you know, all these different times when the TP was hit on these signals, right? Because I can be very accurate with signals. I can be very accurate especially when I give a signal in the short term. And there's nothing wrong with that. But when I'm playing around in my own sub account and you guys see me go negative, I don't want you to take that as a signal. I don't want you to say, "Oh, Nico's doing it, so I'm doing it." No, don't do that. That's not in your best interest. Okay. So you know, all these prices that I said it was going to hit on the way down, it hit like right here. Right here, I gave a short signal 104.39, stop loss 106.8, TP first stop 103.5, red arrow, then 101. It came and it hit all of that. BTC TP moved into profit at 104, 101.5 level hit. Still short and holding. I was still short and holding. Boom, right down to 100,500. So it does, you know, when I'm giving signals, those are pretty accurate. I mean, I do have about a 71 to 75% win ratio on my signals. But sometimes on my little sub accounts, I'm playing around with fire sometimes. And because I am trying to make a really big hit, and sometimes that's just my own little thing that I do with myself. It's not necessarily recommended for anybody. So I apologize if you just do what I'm doing rather than do what I'm telling you to do. Don't do that sometimes. I mean, I never have ever got on one of these live calls and told you to do what I'm doing. I always warn you guys, you should know that by now. I always warn you that, listen, just because I'm short right now doesn't mean you should short. If I think you should short, I will give a signal. If I think you should go long, I will give a signal. And that's why even Chad says, you know, the bull market ain't over until he tells you. Right? Does that mean he knows everything? No, we don't know everything. We don't know the exact time, but we called it pretty close last time, and we called the bottom in the last bear market to $2,000. I mean, we said the bottom was 17K and it went to 15.5. And the top we called it 65 and it went to 68. So but we just disagree on where we're at right now as whether this is the top or not, because there's 6 months left technically in the bull market. So all I'm saying is that the last several bull markets, that last 6 months never got higher than the 6 months prior. And that 6 months prior just ended with that fourth candle on the 6 month time frame. That just ended on July 1st. So historically, we've never got higher than that, but this time could be different. So that's why I'm short. But listen, me shorting the top or what I think is near the top doesn't mean it is. And there could be a much better short opportunity. And I will certainly let you know when I think that that's going to be. But if we do start falling, guys, and we get down below 100 and we hold as resistance at 100 and then we start dropping down in the mid 90s, don't think that you're missing out on a bunch of, you know, oh, I could have shorted at 105. I could have shorted at 108. Yeah, could have. But that's crystal ball stuff. Once we know for sure, if we go below 70, for instance, guys, we're going to like 30 if we go below 70. So you'll have plenty of time to make a lot of money. But no one likes to hear me say that, especially in a bull market. But I'm just speaking the reality of the situation. My reality might be different than other people's right now, but that's usually the case. Like, you know, a lot of people's reality is different than everybody else's. But anyway, long story short, guys, I think that we are obviously still in a bull market and there's a lot of crazy stuff happening in the world. which could end up being a big boom for us or a big bust, one or the other. Not sure. It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird. Everything Trump is doing, all the tariffs, all this stuff is long-term good, but short-term scary. Most people don't understand what he's doing. Most people don't understand. But you can go back and watch Ronald Reagan and George Bush and a lot of people try to do the tariffs thing. They just couldn't. They couldn't pull it off like Trump did. So with that being said, we are at 109.4 on Bitcoin, which is very high. It is pumping back up now out of that little flag that I had drawn. Well, let me share one more time real quick before we wrap it up, because we have this happening. Depending on where you put this, could be a widening, some kind of widening channel, or maybe it wasn't, maybe it just broke out. And then if we put this perfectly straight at the top, flat to the tops of these wicks, then right there is 109.5 again. And that's just been major resistance. We might just be coming back up to retest that. Let's look to see, do we have any liquidity anywhere above us? We do. It's all the way up here at 110.5. Not sure that that's where we're headed right now. Let me very possible. I am up 12% on my ENA long trade. That one's pumped up a little bit, but so short term, obviously, guys, we're climbing. We climbed up from 105 today in the last 24 hours, all the way up to 109. I mean, that's a $4,000 pump to the upside. Generally speaking, that is a, what is that, a 5% move? What big is that? That is a 4.4%, 4.40% move to the upside today. Now, how often do we have 4 or 5% moves to the upside that just keep going? Anybody know the answer to that? We have
Rarely.
Yeah, we have 1 to 5% moves almost every day, up and down, but they never just keep going in that same direction. But hey, never say never, right? There's always time for something to happen that doesn't happen before. I just can't tell you that things are going to happen that hasn't happened before, because that would be malpractice. That would be like you coming, if I was a doctor, you coming into the office and sitting down and me looking at you and say, here, take this pill and let me know what happens tomorrow. Diagnosis, prescription without diagnosis is malpractice. So I can only diagnose what I see, and I can only look at history and all the time frames and all the different indicators and tell you what this is what's likely to happen. But shit, anything can happen, I guess. All right, guys. Well, we've been on almost 3 hours now, so trying to make up for lost time here because I wasn't here and I didn't record the Saturday or the Friday session that I did, or whatever day it was, Monday. But I will, I'm watching this today. I'm back. So if I see, also Chad, I'm sure you're going to see him give signals here soon if he sees a breakout above this level. But I think that we need to get above the 109, 109.5 and hold. And we're kind of right there. I mean, we're right there at 109.5. It's coming up to retest it again. So we'll see if that plays out. But I will let you know if you have any questions. ask them in the main chat, tag whoever you are. If you have any technical issues, go to the help desk, ask Bill for help. If you're new, get on the basics call, which is probably still going on right now. You can click that link and go over there. And I will see you in the chat, guys, and get on the next call. I think, we are having a webinar tonight, by the way, for new people because this weekend's the 4th of July. We're going to do it a day earlier than normal. And so if you guys want to get on that, I'll be trading live tonight at about 7 p.m. Just ask in the chat or go into the free Facebook group. You'll see the links in there as well. And we'll see you on there. All right, guys. Have a great rest of your day.
Great day.
Thanks, Nico.